Never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb, the only way to win it life, I never miss, that's fact, taking big swings, hand me the bat, put me in the ring, you'll go out in a bag, cause I sing what I mean and I bring it to the mad light. Ain't got time to kill, I got time to feel. I took the red pill, I know life's short so I wanna live real. But how's it supposed to feel? How's it supposed to feel? How's it supposed to feel? They wanna say my name, but they holding back. They wanna say they hate, but they know it's cap. I ain't play no games, I just do that's fact. And I don't feel no shame, it's a mood you lack. I go crazy, nah, but I ain't lazy. Track after track, I work on this shit daily. Pass me the jack, right as fuel, got me hazy. About to unpack all these things I've been chasing. I've got visions in my head, like memories after death. To be a legend instead of something you can forget. I'm living up every breath, I'd rather lead than be led. I'll fill the seats as I spread with every word that I've said. How's it supposed to feel? How's it supposed to feel?
Everybody, welcome to the late night culture stream. That's right, we've got a lot on this Sunday. Oh wait, I'm all of a sudden Mexican Iron Man. Let me fix that. Hey, I have to tell you, I am grateful to be here this evening. I have an incredible panel and more on the way. We have one or two subjects to talk about, and well, hey, you know, lots of chit chat, and anything you guys suggest in the chat usually ends up coming up during the course of the stream. We have a new special guest this evening, somebody that first time on the show, and well, a big time YouTuber, a wonderful guy. And
I've been here before. Like I've been here plenty of times before.
Yeah, well, I was talking about this fella, CC Karaoke. How are you doing this evening, my friend?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, I love the reverb.
Yeah, I know. I was practicing volume levels on karaoke tracks, so I just forgot to turn it off.
Well, I thought you were an angelic being there for a second.
No. CC does some great stuff, obviously, primarily in karaoke, but he has wonderful opinions. He's very funny, and I am very excited for him to join us tonight. So thank you for being here, my friend. It is truly an honor. And, of course, we also have the elegant smoker himself, looking as JJ Bean as it's possible to on a stream.
Trying to.
Look at that. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
Very comfortable. It's been a nice weekend. Sorry to all of you Dallas Cowboys fans out there.
Oh no, what happened?
Oh, they lost. Yeah, so I mean Brandon Morris, you could at the moment it happened, I think I could hear his heart breaking from here, and I'm multiple states over. But
I actually heard the scream of no from Mad Mardigan.
Oh yeah,
like all the way here, like all the way where I am, and that's a long way away.
It is.
So
yeah, it's a good weekend though.
Man, I am so it is. It's been a fun weekend. I had a really good time hanging out with the boarding and bourbon and talking some hockey, old
Yeah,
fashioned
thank
hockey.
you for helping fill in last night.
Yeah, I felt like I did. We didn't get to the game that I wanted to play, like icing or not icing. So we focused too much on a fight for some reason. But,
Yeah, we
I
do
had
that.
I had a good time and I might have had a little bit too much adult beverage last evening.
A
But
little.
it was
I don't think so. It's
a,
a bourbon stream, so
a good time was had by me. But last but not least, certainly at least at this part of the show, is the man who has seen more movies than anybody probably in a lifetime. A guy that saw, I don't know, just a stupid number of films last year and is probably already 40 deep this year. It's my good friend Jacob for Society Reviews. How's it going, man?
Well, Brahma mentioned the Cowboys, and I was going to say that I'm doing better than a Cowboys fan right now. So I guess I have to say I'm doing better than a Bills fan right now because they also lost.
No.
So, yeah, Bills are out. I mean, I'm pretty much done with football at this point. I mean, one way or another, the city of Philadelphia or the city of San Francisco is going to be in the Super Bowl, and those are like my least favorite cities on earth at the moment. And then on the other side, you have Kansas City and Cincinnati, which is just like, yeah, just go ahead and just throw me in the bath with a toaster at this point. It's like there's nothing to root for as far as that goes. But yeah, no movies, yay, I guess, question mark.
Movies, yay.
Yeah. So there's that.
What films, Jacob? What films have you seen this year?
I haven't only seen a handful this year because there hasn't been a whole lot released. Like I saw Megan, I saw Plane, House Party. Obviously, we talked about that one already. I saw A Man Called Otto earlier today, which was pretty decent. I mean, not too great. It's kind of a mid-level Tom Hanks film. And then I think that's all I could think of off the top of my head. Like I said, there just hasn't been a whole lot come out in the first couple weeks of the year, so we're kind of on a slow turn right now.
I did see one that I liked that was more from the end of last year. Fall. What did you think of it?
I thought it was pretty solid. I mean, it was the one with the two girls on the giant tower, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very simple concept, but for somebody who doesn't particularly like heights and even the opening scenes of like The Dark Knight where the IMAX pans in from, heights.
Yeah.
I don't think my legs or my toes relaxed during that whole movie, even knowing that it's a movie. Just anytime the camera looks over the edge, I just tense up completely.
They seem kind of ill prepared to be climbing the largest unfinished radio tower in that region of the world. You figured maybe bring some kind of service or communication in case something goes wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun movie though. I mean, it's nothing special, but it wasn't anything offensive.
It was just a movie, just like the recent movie I saw, Plane, which is probably the best movie that's been released so far this year. Keep in mind, it's only been 3 weeks, but it's still the best movie you can watch in theaters at the moment. It's just a movie about a plane that goes down and a bunch of people have to fight to survive, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's weird because I think that right now that's what everybody's looking for. Something simple, maybe even a little predictable, but just something good and entertaining. And I feel like we've been missing out on that for so very long that's what's driving people right now. But before we jump into that, I do and any of the other subjects that we're going to touch on tonight, I want to say hi to everybody in the audience. We got a whole lot of people out there. We've got John Sapola hanging out with us. Of course, Cece's here in the chat. He was here first. Good job, Cece. The Union of Amateur Strategists is here. Dual streaming until we start. That's what I do. Let's see. Liger fan is hanging out with us. I think I said that already. John Sapola got out of jury duty. Congratulations. Well done. I love it when you make that phone call and they say, you will not be needed. Thank you. Right. Bye. Then we've got Yek Nomino here saying, I will be lurking on the stream, listening too much to watch. I hear you. Hey, Fat Elvis is got my checklist put together. Beard Oral, weave. Thanks. I think.
Yep.
These are my friends. Let's see. We got Dr. Shadow Dragon is here. I like that. Jerry Minoz is here. What's up, my friend? We've got Sean Estep in the house as well. A few other folks like Snowdub, who's on his way, I would imagine. Our good friend Eric Winberg sends me my favorite super sticker. It's a little Shiba Inu puppy. Thank you for that. Love those little dogs. Fat Elvis reminds you to smash the thumb. Release the McCracken is here. We've got Mephisto's movie reviews. Hope you're doing well, bud. Let's see. A couple other folks rolled in. Yeah, we got the Beam Pod. What's going on, Beam Pod? Hey, by the way, awesome puppet. Let's see. Society, you're here.
I know that guy.
I know that guy. Rod.
He's all right.
Thunderheart is hanging out with us tonight. I'm sorry Tom's not here. He would have done that better. Morb357, good to see you, bud. And JT Gunn is here. What is up, buddy? Hey, what's going on? I got to get him in on this show sometime. He's a good dude. He's got a good channel. You should check it out. I like it. It's fun times. All right, so we got a couple stories in the back. That the people have provided in the private chat. But I want to start with some Star Wars. You guys like Star Wars, right?
Did.
Yeah.
Question mark?
Up until Kenobi, maybe.
Oh.
Up until the prequels, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a quick look at that. All right. You know that there's a new Mandalorian that's coming out, right?
Oh yeah, we
Indeed.
heard all about that. Less than 24 hours ago.
Well, interestingly enough, we've already got a story about the Mandalorian and
goody,
the trailer. That's right. We've got this trailer here. It says a headline, because that's important. That's an important part of the story, right? Mandalorian Season 3 trailer draws record 83.5 million views in the first 24 hours. So, it's the trailer for the flagship Lucasfilm streaming service. It was viewed more times than any previous promotion for a Star Wars series on Disney+. That's
going to equate into ratings, right?
No. How many qualifiers did you need to make that a record breaker, folks? Did you see all that? Mm-hmm. It was viewed more times than a previous promotion for a Star Wars series on Disney+.
Yeah.
I can't make this up.
Has it been like, two other ones that we be in contention with at this point? I mean, we've fallen so far in 5 years. We're now bragging about the views that a Disney Plus a Star Wars series got in 24 hours. Like, remember when we had these things called movies and they were released at the box office and they would make millions of dollars and people would brag about the box office success? Like, here we are now. Like, this is our life.
Our trailer got this many views.
Yeah, our trailer. This is our promotion. This is our big promotion. So anyway, the trailer, of course, 83.5 million views in the first 24 hours, which premiered January 16th on the NFL Wildcard Playoff game. Easily the top showing for a Star Wars Disney Plus series. Their claim to fame is that it was a trailer for a Disney Plus series.
Yeah,
Kenobi only attracted roughly 58 million views. When you say roughly 58 million views, is that less than 58 million? Is it more?
Yeah,
than
that's rounding
million?
up from 57,501,000.
Something short. But so regardless, everything I've seen from this just leads me to believe that Mandalorian just turned into Taken, and Din Djarin is a bad dad.
But Baby Yoda, everyone, don't you guys want to see Baby Yoda?
I think a lot. Go ahead. I'm sorry, CC.
I was saying, I think that the Mandalorian Season 3 might actually do okay, because there's a whole whack of people out there that aren't really paying too much attention to what's going on. They just see the show that was popular, and they may come back to it. Like my dad, for example. I watched Season 2 with him, and he had to ask me, is that a stormtrooper? But he loved the show. It appealed to him. Now, granted, Cara Dune was his favorite character, and she's not coming back. But I did sense that there's a lot of just broad appeal to that show that, would not have appealed to, say, Andor.
I mean, it's really the only one that didn't crash and burn right out of the gate, out of the Star Wars shows that they released.
Yeah. And I just have to say I appreciate the fact that supercalifragilisticexpialidocious is joining us. I love that. That's awesome. And look, this particular story is a lone wolf and cub in space. This is true. Thank you, Batman. Well, it's 100% accurate.
In a ship that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, dude. Why are you using a fighter? Why are you using a Naboo fighter to travel around space in?
Right. I mean, part of the problem is they've made it to where space doesn't mean anything anymore. Like the actual distances between things in these shows and movies. Well, I mean, they do it in other stuff too, like Rings of Power. You can just transport in a couple days what should take 6 to 8 weeks. But like in this, they're in this ship where Yoda's in a bubble. I don't know how you get food to him up there in the bubble behind you that is actually for a droid. And where's the bathroom? What are you doing for however many days or weeks it takes to travel, even in hyperspace, to get to the next place?
I'm like, okay, so what was really funny is they equated hyperspace to light speed. And they did that very early on in the lore, right? Which was weird. And that was courtesy of George Lucas, specifically in the Star Wars attraction for Disney. Prior to them buying Lucasfilm, they had a licensing agreement with them to have the ride called Star Tours. Yep. And they would say light speed to Endor, and you would get everything that looked exactly like hyperspace. So now that we've linked the two things together, you're not going faster than light speed. You're going light speed.
Right.
And that you're right, Brahma. That the time it takes time to get from A to B to C.
Yeah. Hold on a second, Culture. Didn't we just use hyperspace as a weapon in The Last Jedi? Did you not see the scene where
a light speed attack?
Yeah, the ship went to the other ship,
which everybody says wouldn't happen.
But it was cool. Remember when the whole sound went silent?
I remember.
What 1 in a million chance that would never work.
So it's been tried before.
Mm-hmm. Remember when Leia used the Force to get back on the ship, and then like Whitney Houston's "I Will Always Love You" started playing in the background? I clapped. Like, you didn't clap.
So the danger of hyperspace travel has always been that if you didn't plot it out, you could accidentally, crash into a sun or a planet. But apparently, if you crash into something, it just splits it apart and blows it up. So would the ship explode if you hit a planet? The holdo maneuver doesn't make sense.
Or would the star explode, or would the planet explode? I mean, what now? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
The more you think about it, the more you're like, wow, they really broke everything. And yes, they literally did break everything. There is almost nothing left unbroken now in Star Wars. And what's weird is Star Trek's more broken, but more easily fixed. Star Wars is broken, but it is not repairable.
Right.
Well, I can't wait for Disney Plus to do a series on Broom Boy, so we can see his adventures in Space Monaco. That's going to be amazing. That's going to be like 5 stars when that comes out.
Wait. Poll. Lol. Oh, that's what you meant. I'm not going to do a poll. But I'm glad you're splitting your personalities right now, Rob Altus. But Razor Crest was far more practical. You can't argue that. The ability to go to the bathroom, store the people that you were bounty hunting, in carbonite, which was not supposed to be a regular practice at all. I mean, did they create a new fad when they froze Han Solo in carbonite?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Hyperspace into a rock, and that would be a fast carbonite.
Yeah, no, you're right. Gosh, dang. Yeah, there's a lot of things they really did break.
Hey, remember when on The Last Jedi, they took the entire second act of that movie to look for the guy who was supposed to help them hack onto the ship, and they just never found him, and we never figured out what that guy looked like. He was just never mentioned again throughout the rest of the series.
there's so many of these things.
Like the point I'm trying to make here is like this thing is dead. It's been dead for like 5 years, and like the only thing that gave it any kind of life was the Mandalorian, and they've already ruined that. So it's like I don't know like what else how they're gonna move forward with this. It's like you guys haven't released a movie in like 5 years. I'm pretty sure you guys didn't pay like $6 billion for Star Wars, so you can keep pulling out crap on Disney Plus and pretending like it's a success. Like I don't know what to tell you.
By accident or not, the smartest thing they ever did was to separate themselves from Legends.
Probably, yeah.
Well, yeah, because I mean, maybe then they'd be recoverable.
Remember how angry people were when they were going to completely disregard like the whole lore of the extended universe, and then now here we are a few years later. It's like, oh yeah, that was actually a good thing because I don't want this thing to be a taint with the actual canon.
But,
so
yeah, I mean, again, this show has so many holes in it that more regular people will see them now. I mean, you're going to start losing audience because of what's happening here. I don't think there's anything debatable there.
What do you mean start losing? Have you not seen the numbers over the last 5 years? Like they've been losing.
I have. And Michelle is here. She's got her publishing deal together, so be prepared to support her book coming soon to many locations, including Amazon. And there you go.
Cool.
But Real Wade's in the chat. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Whoa. What was this? Yeah, they blew up the crest. They did. $2 super chat from my friend JT Gunn. For $2. So speaking of Disney, last day for Splash Mountain today. Yeah, it's devastating to many of us. They were talking about that a little bit over on the weekly wrap up over there on Tom's channel.
Yeah, I heard a bunch of members of the KKK descended onto Disney just so they can ride Space Mountain, that racist ride, for one last time. It was kind of weird how that whole thing turned out, right?
Yeah, the guys in the white hoods went on Space Mountain when it was the last day for Splash Mountain. But I hear you.
Yeah.
I know you misspoke. I'm just teasing you. But no, it's like that narrative doesn't fly. Nobody believes any of that. Nobody believes anything's racist or anything like that.
But it only takes one person on Twitter to change a corporation's mind at this point. So
yeah, especially a corporation
in one
like
direction.
That's nuts. Look at that. Will Speck is here. Good to see you, bud. Wait, that's right. Eagle 74 says, "Hold it, hold it." Babu Freak is in the Mandalorian season 3. Well, creatures like Babu Freak are in it, but yeah,
chances are it's him.
Yeah, R.I.P. the Song of the South. That's right.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet most of the people that were complaining about that ride never saw Song of the South because it's not exactly easy to see at this point.
You can't get to that film. I mean, unless you own it. I have a VHS copy. I would like to own it in a different format, but I've seen that film more than a few times. And you know what? There is nothing offensive in it whatsoever unless you go looking for it. And that's kind of the way things are right now. Unless you go looking for something, you ain't going to find it. What's going on, John Platt? Good to see you. And yeah, I think I agree with Classy Cannabis canceled for nothing. I have yet to find people that make a rational argument for destroying that ride for no reason. And again, I mean, we've got people in the chat make great points, like Lisa saying "Zippity Doo Dah" won an Oscar for best song,
and they use that song for everything for decades.
Yeah, and Common Dad VHS says Midnight Edge Raid. Thank you for that, my friend.
Big helmet.
Yeah, big Darth helmet. We've got Michelle's reminding us that if you are a new mother, you sleep when the babies sleep, or you will never sleep.
It's true.
Yeah.
New father too.
Oh wow, we just lost. Hang on.
Yeah, don't put the baby to sleep and then go try to do stuff. Like it's not going to work out.
You sleep when they sleep.
Yeah. Bye, Liger fan. It's good having you here. I'll see you in the morning. I hope at the 6-minute daily. Dermy Wormy, what is up, my memer? See, I'm going to start using that regularly. What's up, my memer?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Okay. I think we should all do that, right? Anybody, our meme community, we say, "What is up, my memer?" Anyway, it's just all right.
No, let's piss that off and make it "What's Gucci, my memer."
Oh, okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. Indeed.
I prefer me muff, but
Midnight's
whatever.
Edge After Dark, and their viewers just joined. Say hello. Hi, Midnight's Edge
Hello.
After Dark viewers. We love you. We love you long time. Marby Dog is here saying Mando is well. I don't know if that's confirmed yet. I
Give it time.
I have to be careful. Yeah.
I think that might be taking it a bit far.
Snacks is here. Speaking of somebody who's here, and this means everybody loses a pole position on the stream. It's 6.
Hey,
All right,
Six.
Brahma.
Sure.
How are you doing?
Wonderful.
Now, oh wow, this balances my balances my crazy right now because you are the only person not on camera and you're in the right spot, so we're good.
It's
how
not
are you
gonna
doing?
last.
Oh, okay. How was Tom's stream? Did you enjoy yourself?
I was there.
Yeah. Oh crap! Look
Fair
at that
enough.
car. Nice, Angie. Look at that. Look at that car.
That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, what's up, SP4H?
Howdy, y'all.
CB Spock. Mead Raid. Oh, dude, that's a 40th anniversary Star Trek thing. That's awesome. Karen at 82's here. There's D-Bud. How's you doing, D-Bud? We got Elizabeth Young. Look at all these amazing human beings. Lovely Sherry. Thank you all for joining us. The thing I don't like about Song of the South is they made the slaves look like they were happy with their lives, core member says. There was a different way of telling stories. I don't want to dive too deeply into that. Yeah. I don't want to dive too deeply into that. I don't want to read too much into a lot of the stuff that's going on. Hello, fellow kids. That's right. What is up? Oh, by the way, core member, what is up, my memer?
Yeah, that's already going to die off very quickly.
All right. I tried. I'm trying. What's up, Greenland? Duck Nation's here. Look at all these great people. But Six, did you have a good time with her? Did you talk about anything fun, or did you just have like goofy Muppets voices all night?
There was a lot of that, but we talked about Avatar too. That was fun.
What did you think about that?
What did you think about it?
I mean, it's like the only movie out right now. So
I thought it was a great movie. Did anybody else see it besides me?
Yeah, I saw it. Like I said, visually it looks great. Story wise, you can pretty much fall asleep and not really miss much. So,
yeah, great numbers tonight, Culture. By the way, no, like when you get a big old raid from Tom, you get 196 people. Or usually we're getting here now regular, courtesy of Tom's lead in and of Tom's show does great. I love that show. I'm loving everything right now. I am filled with love.
Culture is love.
I wish that were true. I'll try to be. Look at all these amazing people. Thank you all for joining us. I wish I could not acknowledge each and every one of you, including Tim. Hi, Tim. Avatar talk on Mead was not really fun. I'm sorry, Vic. All right, let's do this. Can we? Okay, so there's a little internet drama, right? And I'm not going to talk about, wire on Crowder crime. Just not going to do it. Just not going to do it. What I'm going to talk about is some weirdness that led to people being banned for no reason. No reason. On Twitter. That's right. I should be more specific. On Twitter.
Yeah.
And then we're going to jump into the thing that Jacob wants to cover next. But what?
Don't worry, guys. The entertaining portion of the show will come very, very later.
What is this?
This is some woman who I only heard about in the last 24 hours. I still don't kind of understand who she is or why she's a thing, but apparently people are getting in trouble for sharing any pictures of this particular video, which is a World Star Hip Hop video, which is already very concerning from the jump.
Which is also publicly available and been viewed millions of times on YouTube. So It's nothing private in any way.
And this, you're right. There over 40,000 times this video has been viewed. Probably more now because it's gone viral again.
Yeah.
6 years later.
Hold on, Brahma. Are you trying to suggest that somehow this woman on screen doesn't understand copyright law?
Yes.
Is that what you're suggesting?
And apparently neither does somebody over at Twitter.
Well, I don't know about that, but look, if somebody feels like somebody else is being harassed on Twitter, they can mobilize an army of followers to go after them. But here's the thing: Eliza got birdwatched. Is that what they're calling it? She got birdwatched for her claim that this was not a consensually made image. This is not the image, by the way, because I'm not going to show you the image because there's adults. There's nipples.
Some people try so hard to be victims that they just apply the word consent to things that don't require actual consent whatsoever.
I was watching a Jimi Hendrix video yesterday because I was working on him for my channel, and it's a live show. And there's a chick in the audience showing her nipples on YouTube in that video. And I was like, oh, hey, that's allowed, apparently.
Well, but in this video, the most you get is nipples. Now, a lot of people are attacking this person, right? And I look, I don't condone any of that. That's not my jam. I'm not a big fan, but I'm not going to tell anybody not to do that. I'm not going to tell anybody not to fight for what they believe in. And in this particular case, this lady, her name's Eliza Blue. She is an anti-trafficking advocate because she says she was a trafficking victim.
Yeah, your hetero life mate is getting very upset with you right now.
Oh, there he is. Hi, Tom.
About fucking time.
I didn't see you.
I was waiting for him to stop talking for a second, Tom. I was trying.
I'm sorry.
Not your fault, Brahma. Don't make excuses for him.
Tom, thank you for bringing a huge audience in.
I was going to say, how does it feel? You got a nice audience in here?
I actually played the intro already, so it felt great.
Yeah. How's it feel?
How's it supposed to feel?
How does it supposed to
It
feel?
feels great.
Squishy.
It feels good.
That's how it's supposed to feel.
It feels good. So
No, about copyright law. No, I only have a cursory idea of what this thing is all about, but I do know a thing or two about copyright laws to a point. But the problem is that what is considered God, what the hell's the word we were just talking about it?
Copyright? Fair use,
yeah, is so loose in the actual law that it is sometimes left up to the discrepancy of the court itself to kind of decide. And it all depends on how they feel like if you're profiting or not in some way or shape or form, specifically from that, right? Like in a documentary, you're allowed to use some things, but in most cases, they will just get permission just because it's easier than dealing with the bullshit later. That's one of the few times it's easier to ask permission than to ask forgiveness later on, because then you find yourself in fucking court. But in most cases, you can use up to like 4 seconds of an audio clip or 8 to 10 15 seconds of a video clip without generally getting in trouble. And if you're doing a review or you need it for context of some kind of story, that generally would fall into some form of fair use. Now, as far as any other possible issues, again, it's up to the discretion of the creator to want to go after the individual too, and then it's like a 50-50 shot. You know what I mean? And it all depends on I don't know if we have enough cases like this to really go back and look, because a lot of times this is kind of like one of those quid pro quo kind of things when it comes to the studios that and the networks, that they don't really fuck with each other when it comes to this stuff too often, and it's free publicity usually.
I guess I just don't understand exactly what's going on, because didn't Brittany Venti and the Quartering basically just post a still or the link to this on their Twitter page? How is that? How would they be benefiting from that in any way?
It's fair use. There's no copyright involved at all, right? This is straight up fair use. I am taking a still shot from this video. There are no repercussions for doing this. And in publishing a still shot and talking about it, and all Brittany Venti did was ask a question about. At
most, you might have to credit the cinematographer. That'd be about it.
Yeah,
but it's like if her picture appeared in the thumbnail for the song or something, and you're on that page and you click share from YouTube, share to Twitter. Nobody's ever gotten in trouble for that before that I know of. I mean, they have a share button that's
a third party issue, Twitter. Though. Yeah, that's a third.
I
party
get that,
issue,
but
though.
I mean, how do you stop that? I mean, it's published on YouTube. I mean, how can you stop somebody from sharing?
Well, what I don't
something that is
understand
publicly published
is how is she claiming copyright for the video when the song that she's using is not even her song to begin with? So isn't that
Did
like
she
a
pay
copyright?
for the rights to use the song? I mean, did she pay for the publishing rights or whatever? Because
I mean, it's a World Star Hip Hop video, so I honestly don't know. It could go either way.
It wouldn't matter. Here's the other thing. As long as we were making comment, we could play this right now. We could play this video with the music, make commentary over it. I would probably get a claim. But if we were talking about it and pausing it here and there and discussing it, I could fight that. Because I could fight the claim because we were actually commenting on the video and the contents therein. But the thing is, I'm not going to use it to profit from, right? That's, I'm going to talk about it in still shots that I know are clearly within fair use boundaries, which is all that was happening on Twitter. And the problem is that her story doesn't line up with any series of events or any timeline that she's ever said. She is so inconsistent in anything, and she comes up with in a myriad of different ways with 1,000 different names. Okay, I'm being hyperbolic. She's got five different names, folks.
Yeah, she's been known by multiple things.
Yeah, I mean, she's tried out for American Idol and got some progress there. She was dating everybody in My Chemical Romance at one point in time. You're laughing, CC, but that's true. And there's all of that out there. And it's public. You can go back through her public life, and
you're basically doing right now what this is all about, then.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, posting stills and speaking of it. And
now this happened on Twitter.
I
this
hope
is even
she
on
was
YouTube.
Careful. Yeah, it was Brittany Venti posted a still on Twitter of this chick from this video. That's my understanding of it. I hope she was careful when she dismounted, because that really looks like that's a good way to get a splinter in your ass.
Or break a vertebrae.
Honestly, okay, so this video was clearly shot in California, Southern California primarily. This is in a famous location and overlook that looks over the city of Los Angeles. I forget what it's called, but and again, it's her body, her choice. Thank you, Glenzer.
Yeah.
But wait, check Twitter culture. Okay, I'll do that.
No, that's not Miley. Well, no, I mean, I don't know. I'm like 60% sure that's not Miley Cyrus.
I think technically she's slightly better looking than Miley.
Oh, Monkey Jeebus wants us to get a different image in our minds. Look, I've seen this, and now you all have to. I
better not be like that story you told last night. I don't want any more things from you in my head like that.
Like that?
No, that's Majin Buu, I think, right?
No, thank you. Yeah, no, I unsubscribe from that. Thank you, Monkey Jeebus, for that nightmare. I appreciate it. But here's what I don't like, right? This is a person who went out there and said, when it comes to free speech, this is a hill I will die on. You can find that tweet. It was just a few days ago. You can find it, like even the day before, I believe, that she got Venti banned. Brittany didn't deserve this. Quartering didn't deserve this.
Well, and just to be completely clear, not a permanent ban. It was a suspension.
Well, it's a suspension, sure.
But they are required to remove it in order to lift the suspension, I believe. And I believe they have both said, well, at least Quartering has said, I'm not removing it because there was nothing wrong.
Yeah, then if you try to appeal the suspension, you might as well just accept the extension, because it'll take like 7 days for them to hear back your appeal anyway.
Yeah, it was a 24-hour suspension, I believe.
Well, and you know what? I'm actually going to bring in an expert right now on being transformative. He really is.
Not you, Tom.
It's our good friend Tom. I mean, Puff.
It's the earliest Puffs ever made it to this stream.
Welcome to the mead after party. I am so stoned.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. How are you doing tonight,
He's
Puff?
so stoned, he technically got it right for once. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. The mead after party? That's right.
You're about to blow his mind right now.
Hey, Puff, Puff, can you tell us? Can you tell us if this qualifies for fair use? Oh wait, that wasn't it. Whoa.
That's a
Look
lot of
at all
words,
those
man.
private messages in porno.
Yeah.
Was
Sweet
porno
dick.
there?
Just a little.
I was told you needed a transformer.
Oh wow.
A trans woman? That's what he said.
Transformer.
Never mind. I went back and listened. You said transformative. My bad.
Yeah.
Roll
No,
out.
but
Wow, that new Transformers movie looks terrible.
It does look bad. We can get there. Hey, so anyway, is this transformative to you, Puff?
Oh wow, man! Like, it's kind of got a fat ass.
Mm-hmm.
Booty
Yeah.
break.
Booty break.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at least the good news is you don't have to worry about getting chlamydia because you already have it. So.
Wait, what?
Yeah, and one other name, and this is the name that she goes under for this World Star Hip Hop video, is Eliza Mills. So yeah, she's got 5 different names, folks. One of them's real. But anyway,
you know, like when a business gets like a bad rating by the BBB, so they change the name of the business so that people won't find their bad rating, and they do it like several times in really shady circumstances.
Yeah.
yeah, and you know what? Is that Star Wars girl did a great job on this everywhere she was, on Twitter, everywhere she was commenting about it, including her YouTube. Yeah, she was crushing it. She was crushing it. It's very strange that she's trying to get this conversation shut down. Is this Miley Cyrus? Alyssa Milan? No, but why would you do that? Why would you intentionally try to get a conversation shut down unless you were trying to cover something up?
There's a few artists out there just like we've run into it in the karaoke community. I was going to say it's like there's such a wide margin between how people react to this. You know, we've talked to some artists, and there's like, hey, yeah, like the Black Keys are like, yeah, okay, go for it. We'll just release the claim. You can use what you want. All you got to do is ask them. Some artists will even just give you material if you ask for it. And then you got artists like the Eagles who brag about hiring a whole crew of people to go and hunt down everything on the internet and destroy it. And if you're running into somebody who's in that vein, it doesn't much matter what you do. If you use their likeness, if you use even a few seconds of sound, they will strike you down. You know, we ran into that problem with Tool a couple of months ago, and I love Tool. I do. But, like, they have actually hired a firm to go around and strike down everything on the internet that uses their music in any way, shape, or form. So
you got musoed. That's what you got.
Yeah, and unfortunately in your case, CC, there's not much of a, nothing you could really fight about, unfortunately, really.
Now, I'll be honestly, what I've had a ton of success with is when you actually communicate with the claimant,
right,
and show them respect. Because I think a lot of the time people because you always have the opportunity to message the claimant, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people go in there and just start like cussing and being really, really rude about it. But if you go in there and show them respect and say, hey, I appreciate the situation, and I'll go forward. I won't.
Or if you say you're a
stuff
trans
anymore.
woman, that might work.
Oh, that too, yeah. But honestly, they will release the claims a lot of the time.
You're not wrong. I've reached
even in
out to
that
certain
case.
situations and had some luck, and that's where, it does happen from time to time. But what I was getting at is, like, in most cases, even if you do have a case for fair use, who can afford to go to court for this shit? Until
Especially,
a few YouTubers, until a few YouTubers who can go afford it and actually win these cases, then things will change. Until then, we're kind of at their mercy. It really is what it is.
Well, and actually, there's a case right now that could be heard in front of the Supreme Court in this year that actually could help solve some of this fair use baloney sausage. But that's neither here nor there. I need to get to a few of these super chats if we want to jump on those. Again, I want to say thank you to Eric Winberg for the $2 super sticker with my favorite little guy. We've got Indie Phantom for a Canadian $2 saying, CC, keep streaming in perspective. I try. I really do. I try to avoid a whole lot of hyperbole, outside of the obvious language that gets used occasionally. Dermy Wormy, the memer man, for $5 says, this is for Culture and Uncle Brahma. Finished my Last of Us review for tomorrow. Oh, boy. Good for you. Eliza has hurt a great cause by her actions. I think that's probably the wisest statement anybody said. I think that's true, because I'm on the side. I'm on the side of the anti-trafficking movement, and I've done videos on it that have definitely hurt my channel, talking about the fact that slavery still exists globally, and people are still abused in many ways, including in the type of trafficking that's done still.
No, that's your fault. Who told you that you can tell the truth on YouTube? I won't tell you to do that.
I do my level best, and again, I've got another video I'm working on. I'm going to work with Grant. It's going to be a little more documentary style that covers, the trafficking that continues to this day. Because I don't think you can turn your head away from stuff like that. And I think that, as Therming Wormy says here, Eliza's hurt a great cause, and that's just unacceptable. It truly is. Indie Phantom says, for a Canadian $2, come for the culture, stay for the XXX. Well, it's not quite like that. I made sure I didn't put up any photos that were explicit in any way. I wouldn't do that on my stream. And Mr. Tickle Trunk's right. She does help victims of the island owner that we can't really say on YouTube. Marby Doc for $2 says, me thinks Eliza Blue dust protest too much. I think so too. She definitely dost protest too much. And let's see. I know that Mr. Tickle Trunk sent a super chat. Yeah, she does help victims. There's no doubt about it. I have a credit card. Neat. What, you got a credit card, Tom?
Just like a singular one?
According to Taco Bell, you're missing the whole conversation there.
Oh, what's happening? Taco Bell's in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Taco Bell's in the chat.
About time. I've had the munchies for like an hour. I was wondering when they get here.
Well, you're going to be on the crapper for 2 hours if you eat that food, so...
Yeah. Vertical Horizons uses humor as always. I hate all traffic. Well, many people do. Wow, Tom wants a chalupa Taco Bell.
Yeah, man. And I'll take a Mexican pizza.
And we sent all the E. coli green onions to Lucasfilm.
I'm so glad they got rid of green onions at Taco Bell. That was their best call ever.
Yeah, man.
Speaking of best call ever,
I used to have to cut those up when I worked there. That sucked.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh God, that was the one job that everybody argued over having to do because no, who wants to cut onions? You sit there and you cry over it and shit.
Bunch of pussies.
I know, right? Everybody's always crying over it.
Yeah.
Who do you think you are, Kevin Smith?
Oh my. Oh, wow. Wow. You know, Kevin, you just have to show him a film and then you're good.
Well, apparently he was.
You have to show him a woke film.
I say apparently he was praising that '90s show's creators for having him as one of the jokes in the show, and Nina Infinity responded, "And you didn't cry about it?" That's what I was told anyway.
That's pretty good.
Well, hey Tim, you just missed us talking about Mandalorian Season 3's trailer. I'm not really watching The Last of Us because I gave my thoughts on that once, and I don't like it, and that's fine. Other people do, and that's on you. I won't yuck your yum. I will yuck your yum when it comes to Velma because everybody hates that show. It's garbage. But anyway, Mr. Tickle Trunk says Eliza was trafficked. She's an advocate for trafficked people, including the victims of the guy that owned the island. Threats on her life over the years, so she's high strung. I guess that's okay. I will take that into account. Thank you for again adding information to the conversation because it does help inform everyone's opinion. Nano Reaper says, well, she just jumped on it for the clout. Maybe.
Yeah.
Was there more outside of Venti though? I mean, because yes, Venti's pretty well known, but how did this targeting even happen? I mean, how did she even notice Venti out of everybody? That seems strange. I guess I don't understand the context of what happened there.
Because of how popular her and the Quartering were, that's why they got noticed, probably.
Well, Quartering only did it because Venti got... He specifically did it after Venti got nuked.
Well, yeah, because that's what he does, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's again, I mean, it's a free speech conversation to me, you know? But I don't know. I mean, there's something suspect there. People have been talking about her timeline, and I don't think she liked that kind of attention on that. So, it is what it is. Hey, Mike Lennox. But I just didn't like it, and I know that we need to move on, and I know that our buddy Jacob's got something lined
Well,
up.
the point I was going to make real quick before we end this is just that I don't like this idea of people trying to use a copyright to stop others from talking about them. We've seen this how many times on YouTube and other places. It just gets, it's like, why don't you just cry from the heavens that you're guilty as fucking sin, or you got something to hide? Like, that to me is what it sounds like. So in this case, hopefully Brittany gets everything sorted out. She's obviously in the right in this situation. It's a pretty clear-cut case. If you ask me, if I was a lawyer, I'd take it on. But that's all I got to say about that.
Speaking of a lawyer, Uncivil Law, according to our friend Parrothead, picked apart Eliza's timeline.
Yeah.
I am not surprised.
Hey, we got a wild Lorena in the chat.
Really?
Just
She's
dropping by to say hi and drop a like, she said.
Yeah.
Tina. All right, let me get down there. Let me say hi to the lovely Lorena. She was fun. I got to hang out with her and talk about Florida stuff tonight. That's always a good time. Evening, everybody. Dropping by real quick, dropping a like. Thank you for being here, dear. Appreciate it. Will Fleabag be featured in the next Indy 5 trailer? I don't know. I would imagine she'll be there. I just don't know how prominently. She kind of got hidden in the last one, right?
That's what I was saying, yeah.
Well, the role's been significantly cut, right?
According to
or is that rumors?
Which you can only wonder how bad that original cut of the film was, that they had to go and damage control that far.
Oh, they've done a lot of damage control. They even had to damage control John Williams.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
Well, my guess is that we all guessed it exactly right, and they said, okay, now we got to change it because
we got to change it dramatically.
We already said that they were all wrong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then they'll be able to say, see, you guys were wrong all along.
Even though
none of that happened that you said.
Even though we magically did a bunch of reshoots and re-editing, but it's fine. And
we got to do 30 million in reshoots just so we can prove the marks wrong.
That's right.
She-Hulk. I mean, She-Hulk was how many millions of dollars?
It was
just to target people out here.
It was
they're not above it.
It's the most targeted show I think I've ever seen that was designed to attack the fans of the.
Until Velma came out.
Well, yeah, but God, that talk about setting the bar pretty low and then have somebody actually limbo under it, and that's exactly what Velma did. But Eclay's right. I usually give every show 3 episodes. Look, the boss was done in the first 5 minutes of Velma. She's like, no.
Yeah, some shows don't need 3.
And when the boss is willing to draw the line, I'm like, okay, because I literally was waking up at 5 a.m. because I thought this would be something good to talk about, do a video about, whatever. Boy, was I mistaken, right? And then of course I knew that there would be a windfall for channels that would like to scream about things, and I'm not one of those guys, so that doesn't work for me. But The Last of Us is not a good show. And I know for a fact, based on everything that is out there now and stuff I'd read, that Last of Us is going to progressively get worse and more distanced from the original story. And, of course, the characterization. I can't support it.
Well, I imagine it would have to get progressively worse because there were actually quite a few people that came out and said they actually liked the first couple episodes, or first episode at least. I never played the game, have no interest in the show, so that's dog in the fight.
People were saying, "Oh, the first episode is actually good." It's like, yeah, it's the first episode. It's like, maybe wait a couple episodes to get a good gist of what the show is. Because I mean, look, we all like the first video game when it came out, and then things changed rather quickly. So,
yeah. I really want things to be good, right? I don't want this to be true, Mecha J. I don't want it to be the tile of douchery. I don't want to keep looking at things with such a jaded eye, right?
Well, we don't get what we want because what we wanted was for Indiana Jones to fade into the distance after he rode off into the sunset in The Last Crusade.
Yeah, and Lorena Creole, by the way, your new avatar rocks, kiddo. But yeah,
I'm actually in the boat where I wouldn't have mind seeing them trying to James Bond Indiana Jones.
That
I think
might
it's a
have worked
character.
then.
Yeah, I think it's a character that you can keep set in a specific time period. You just keep recasting him with a younger actor, and you just keep going forward. I know Harrison Ford is against that idea, but at this point, I don't see why he shouldn't. But it's too late now. But
they could have even not just kept it in the same time period. They could have moved from World War II Nazi time period to, Cold War period, and had him, then doing Cold War stuff with a different actor, and then moved it to different, have an archaeologist.
Well, that's kind of what they did
something.
with fucking Crystal Skull, and we saw how well that turned out.
Not well.
Yeah, but
look, Jeremy Wormy makes a point here. Should I do a Velma video? Should I just do a bunch of them, like just watch all the terrible television and just rage on it?
Why not?
No, I mean, is that
got nothing to lose?
But is it in? It's not within me.
Your sanity.
That's right. It's not within me to do that. But I do believe that's true. That Disney's willing to spend $30 million just to prove Doomcock wrong.
Yeah.
I
don't doubt that at all.
I mean, if they hated him enough to put him in She-Hulk, I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, I've heard a lot of great candidates. I see one in the Chris Pratt's a great candidate to take over his Indiana Jones. That'd be one I'd see. Bradley Cooper's another one who's been brought up. Who's the guy who plays the young version of John Dutton on Yellowstone? He'd be a good one too.
I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of his name.
Shit, what's his name?
Oh man.
Are we talking about Wes Bentley, or are we talking about the other guy?
Is that who it is? I mean, I know. Yeah, I'm trying to remember now. I keep forgetting his damn name. Y'all will be like, "Oh, him!" as soon as you hear the name. But yeah.
Josh Lucas, is that?
Yeah, Josh Lucas. Yes.
Okay. The powers of the internet.
It's right, you guys. It's amazing. But Spaceship Vampire makes a point here. And by the way, I always hated L337 because I'm like, why are you saying leet in a freaking Star Wars show? But anyway, Star Wars film, I should say.
You know who else would work, Tom, in the new 1923, the one that's playing the son that... Have you guys watched it, 1923, any of it?
Spencer, the one who plays Spencer?
The son that's over in Africa?
Yep, Spencer.
He's basically playing an Indiana Jones type character at the moment in 1923, and he's doing a pretty damn good job of it.
I want to say this. I love that Tom is so invested in all the Taylor Sheridan things right now.
They're so good.
I just finally realized who the fuck he was in the show.
Oh, you didn't know that he was an actor in most of the shows too?
I knew he was in the show, but I was figuring, like, I went to watch like a behind the scenes thing, and I figured he'd be just like one of the background, cowboys, cattle guys or something that we just see once in a while who maybe gets a line or two. Oh no, he's the fucking horse trainer.
Yeah.
And he took that job on the show because he couldn't find anybody else who actually could ride the horses, because his whole thing is all that shit's done in camera, no CGI bullshit. You can't, and he's like, you can't bring in trained horses to work with actors because you have all the fucking problems you have with any other animal working with somebody they don't know. Yep. So what he did is he bought all those horses and he made sure each actor got to know their horse, trained with their horse, so they can trust their horse. And they don't have to have problems with that. And he said that he didn't trust anybody else to be able to do the scenes that they had to do with those horses, so he did them themselves. And he actually works for the 4-6s, or he owns part of the 4-6s ranch that's portrayed in the show. Yeah,
yeah. He, my cousin, was married to one of his best friends, and one of my second cousin, I guess it would be, was actually named after Taylor Sheridan. It was their firstborn. Wow. So he was at their wedding. He was at a couple family funerals and stuff. So he's actually a cowboy, modern day type cowboy that is now jumping into Hollywood and writing about what he knows. And I love that. See, that's the cool thing, right? And he did it the right way, just like Tom Cruise does it the right way, right? It's like an actor that moves over to writing and producing and show running. Imagine if Tom Cruise did all of that on top of the acting that he's doing. And I know he's cuckoo bananas. I think he knows his strength isn't in writing though. Right. But that's why he has his guys. But yeah. Sheridan, like, I mean, modern day cowboy indeed. Well, Sheridan took a shot as an actor. Tom, did you watch Sons of Anarchy? Sons of Anarchy, yeah.
Well, yeah. The interview I had, they talked about how he was on Sons of Anarchy and how he struggled and struggled and struggled. And before the show began, every studio said no to it until he got to Paramount. And they took a chance on it. And now he has like 10 shows that are either on the air or in development.
But they basically told him, I mean, he got the role in Sons of Anarchy, but they basically had told him, you're a dime a dozen actor. You're never going to get, major parts. You're always going to be a bit character. And that's when he decided, fine, I'm going to write stuff instead. If I'm not going to be on the camera, I'm going to go, the other way and make my stories to where I can control a little bit of what's going on.
Well, and he was a writer on Cicero. I seen that, and I haven't seen it, but I seen that he was a writer on that. And then, of course, Hell and High Water I knew about. And there's another one too he had before that that he wrote that I can't remember the name of.
Was it Sicario?
Or is that what I meant? Cicero or Sicario? Sorry, I just said
Sicario.
Cicero.
Yeah,
that's what I meant. Sicario. Jesus Christ. There's another one before Hell and High Water or something in between there. One of the two. I'm trying to think of the name of it.
Wind River, which is the Jeremy Renner one. Yeah.
And I think he has another one too, actually, but I'm trying to think of what it's called. It's like what the hell is it? Something. I can't remember, but I'll look it up.
He's been involved in a lot of stuff. And
speaking of Harrison Ford, though, like that's the thing is I watch 1923, and it's like we're seeing a new reinvigorated Harrison Ford we haven't seen in like 20 years. I'm like, Jesus Christ, just give that guy a cowboy hat and a horse, and he's a fucking kid again. Because he's got like. He's a completely different actor in that show compared to what I'm used to.
But he's a blue-collar guy. Harrison Ford was a blue-collar guy, never wanted to be an actor, connected with only one of the characters he's ever played, and now he's getting a chance to do the stuff that he wanted to do when he was that guy as a carpenter working for George Lucas. But anyway, let me set that aside and get to the super chat real quick. Tim's talk for $20. Thanks, friend. I hope you're doing well, buddy. Says, so Avatar hit 2 billion. It did. I think 2.3. Well, it's doing all right. Cameron Trollus, in his mind, he said 2 billion to break even for this film. I disagree with everyone. He's trolling us. Why do we not see that? I don't know. I wouldn't say he was trolling us. I think that he was concerned because of the economic environment that he was selling this film into.
Yeah.
I know that he knew that he was getting the third film because it's done, other than whatever they're remaining to cut it up into bits about. And and again, we can talk about how his process works, film everything, and fix it in the editing bay. But his concern was getting the fourth and fifth film together, to be honest with you. But we'll see how they go. I feel like the gloss will be off of this by the third film, but I've been proved wrong time after time by this man. So
I think we all severely underestimated just how big this would be overseas, because that seems to be where it's making its killing now. It's the overseas market.
Right, but Jacob, and I think everybody else on this panel would agree, that's where the first film did well. 70%, 77%, I believe, of the previous film generated its revenue from the international market, not from the States.
Yep.
So that's a lot. It really is a lot.
70% this time around.
Yeah. And this is a great comment from Aaron Ratliff. CultureCasino, She-Hulk. No one can enrage the fans like me. Velma, hold my beer.
Heifer.
Hold my beer, heifer. Oh, I love that. Hold my beer, heifer, and watch this. Oh, I love it. Okay, great.
Yeah, there's another clip of Velma circulating around, and you just think to yourself, it's like, this is like, so many creators get told that they're not good enough to like write TV shows and create like movies and stuff like that. Like we were talking about with Taylor Sheridan. Somebody told Taylor Sheridan that he would never be good enough to make it as an actor. And we're probably sure there's been people who've created great scripts and great content that get told that, oh, you're not good enough or you're just a dime a dozen. Yet somehow this got greenlit by a group of creatives at Warner. And you just think to yourself, how do we get here?
I don't know. I know this. The common nerd was right. I asked you if it was going to get better. What did you tell me? Iron Age or bust. That's right. We got to make our own shit. And we got a group of people that are doing a great job of doing it right now. Michael Gonzalez. Look at things my way, and nothing is unfunny. Yes. I think Shia would have been great, Hoffcast. I'm sorry. Shia LaBeouf would have been great.
I mean, if he had kept his personal life together, he probably could have been great, but But yeah, that happened.
Yeah, he kind of went off the deep end.
And that's the thing. Like they really tried to make Shia a thing, but he just fell apart. It was like
Shia.
Oh, he had every.
Go ahead, Tom.
I was going to say he had every opportunity in the world to be a decent star. He just fucked it up on his own.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just not that much different than Michael Cera and some of the other guys. They have the weird quirks and mannerisms, and that it's them in every single movie. So I don't know that I would have wanted to see it.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Somewhat sane.
I feel like if he had gotten clean and sober a few years earlier, if he'd only had like a 2-year down period of crazy, he probably would have had a much bigger career. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
I agree more with you, Culture. I'm along the lines of this kid had the chops, and this is where I don't totally agree with you, Brahman, comparing him to Michael Cera and all those guys. I agree with you that those guys are like one note, but I think Shia had a chance to be like the next Al Pacino kind of guy in Hollywood, but he fucked that up. Like he could have been much more than he became, because look at him now, what he does do for some of his roles, but nobody watches him anymore because they think he's batshit crazy, right? But he can really act his fucking ass off. The kid is a great actor. It's just too bad that he went off the deep end the way he did, and I can't remember some of the other controversy somebody was telling me about that he had gotten involved in too, that it's just like, man, I can see why a lot of people have kind of turned their backs on him, but I mean...
That's part of the dangers of being a child actor, too, because we know what happens with child actors.
Yeah.
So Jack Nicholson in The Departed. There's very few actors who can completely erase your impression of them as the actor, as Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
There's very, very few at that level where you see them as the character and not the actor.
I think you're right. I think, and again, it comes down to, are you a movie star? Right? We don't have them. We don't have them anymore. Are you a movie star? Can you be on? Are you indistinguishable from this character? And can you do that with more than one role? There's not a lot of people that can do that. No. And they certainly can't pull people into the.
But Shia is not a movie star kind of guy either. He's like your Daniel Day-Lewis kind of. That's what I'm saying. He was that kind of an actor where he could have. Go ahead.
No, you were on the right track, because I was only going to suggest that had we not lost the best Joker ever in Heath Ledger, he's that kind of guy. He's completely invested in those characters. You're right. I mean, maybe Heath Ledger never have been a box office draw.
Gets fully absorbed into the role.
Yes. Yeah, because he even like knocked a tooth out and did some other shit for one role. He's done some nutty shit for roles. But that also goes along. I mean, maybe Brando would be a better comparison for him, especially considering how fucking difficult he is. I see somebody brought up Brando in the chat, but even Brando's still a bigger movie star than Shia ever could have been.
Brando got progressively more difficult to work with. He wasn't always consistently difficult to work with.
I don't know. He was always pretty difficult.
Based on some directors.
More or less, basically, how successful he was is how much shit they would put up with. Because that's the thing, is the studio didn't want him in The Godfather. Because they didn't want to deal with his shit. That was really what it boiled down to. Is they just didn't want to. And he was not a big movie star at that point. Or at least not at the level that, they were willing to put up with his shit anymore, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, he got progressively worse in his career.
Well, yeah, by the time you get to the score, he's literally refusing to wear pants.
Yeah.
And you got Frank Oz having to shoot him 90% of the time from the waist up because he's not wearing fucking pants.
Yeah.
Well, that's all of us, too. I mean, come on.
I'm actually wearing pants tonight, but let me jump on this real quick.
Tonight.
Yeah, I know. I saw. Look, we've seen enough Nick's nuts for a lifetime.
Nick's nuts.
Marby Dog for $2 says, "Do a Velma video, Culture. Make it hurt." Thanks, Marby Dog. Maybe I will. Good Lord. James Villanueva says, Metacritic score for Velma is 0.4.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, it's historically bad.
It's very bad.
It's one of the few shows that's managed to piss
It's
off
got the lowest
both
rating
sides.
right now, I believe, on IMDb as well. Sorry, bro.
No, I was just saying it's pissed off both sides. It's one of the few that's managed to not just get us mad, but get them mad too. So
I wish I remember who said it. We had our member stream, and somebody on there said Velma's the show that's even too woke for woke people.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's because everyone is a fan of Scooby-Doo. Like Scooby-Doo encompasses so many generations of people that you pissed all over Scooby-Doo's legacy with this show, and now everyone's upset.
Well, I pointed that out on the morning show. I'm like, Scooby-Doo is a show that since 1969 has premiered, there has been one incarnation or another on the air. It has never stopped. Yeah. It has always had a life cycle to the point where it has this huge fan base. In fact, there was even a story I'd heard where when they did that film in the early 2000s, the reason they brought on James Gunn is they were going to make it like a parody movie. It was meant to be like a hardcore PG-13, borderline R-rated, like we're going to poke fun at all the things that people, because of Scooby-Doo. And then they realized, oh shit, this still has a fan base, and cooler heads prevailed. But that I think had more to do with the compartmentalization of Warner Brothers at the time. But of course, the way the movie turned out, it was a success. And that's the thing, is this show has had toy lines. It has had different shows throughout the years. It has never stopped being relevant, and it is one of those franchises that one generation passes down to the next, to the next, to the next. Like I said the other day, I'd guess there's probably, 3 or 4 generations now that have grew up with the show?
Yeah.
Yeah, at least. I mean, from, the 70s on?
Yeah, because it premiered in 69, so, yeah.
Yeah.
And would have thought that Mindy Kaling would be the thing that brings the woke and the unwoke together?
I know, right?
Agreement on something.
Well, she's just obviously just not... She hasn't been great for anybody ever. I mean, I'm sorry, her part in The Office was...
Her part in The Office was...
woke.
There's swear words to describe Mindy.
She did do a lot of the writing on The Office, too, which basically she works better when somebody's controlling her to a degree.
I was going to say,
keeping her under control, not controlling her. But
this is more than just Velma, though, or Scooby-Doo, if you want to look at it. This is, in a sense, like a crossroads of many different things hitting together. You got Mindy Kaling, who's a comedian, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you have the woke factor, you've got the animation factor beyond just the fact that it's Scooby-Doo. So you have a lot of animation fans who are thrown up in the air about it.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So there's a lot of people on different sides of this meeting together. So I think you guys are right. This might be one of those defining moments in what I call the final where we finally see like a turning of tides where a lot of people are just like, yeah, this is even, like I said, too woke for me, and I'm woke, for some people in some senses.
People wake up and be like, you know what? This is shit.
It's the nature of culture and time. We come up with ideas, and they're cool at first, and then they get pushed and pushed further until people just get sick of it. And then people move on to the next thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, there's only so much people can take of being lectured, right? Because we know about this stuff. We've known about it because we talk about it in our circles for years.
Yeah.
But like I've said before, the normie population is starting to, or the general public, whatever you want to call it. I know some people dislike that term, normies. But the non-geek nerd, what have you, communities are now starting to becoming aware of this shit, and the non-political people are starting to become aware of this shit. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, the people who don't focus on genre, the people who don't focus on fandoms, the just the regular everyday TV and moviegoer, they're just now starting to wake up to what's happening. I agree with you, Tom. 100%.
You know what works really well? I did this last year, and it worked fantastically. If anybody goes to a Super Bowl party this year with any of the people that you consider normies that are watching the Super Bowl, just point out to them, you can predict almost every single commercial is not going to have a white person, or if the white person is in it, they're going to be portrayed as an idiot or doing something stupid, and everybody
there you go.
And I did that last year amongst about 40, 50 people at a Super Bowl party, and they all looked at me at the end of the game and they're like, how the hell did you know what all the commercials were going to be?
You just gave me an idea.
Because it happens on every commercial. You just don't notice it. But in the Super Bowl, that is the best time to get a large group of people to notice the crap that is going on, and all you have to use is the commercials. They will see it because it is there.
Here's a new fun game for all you guys listening. When you go to a Super Bowl party this year, make up woke bingo cards for the commercials.
Yep.
And everybody can play woke bingo. It'll be fun.
Just just make up the things that are woke and put them on there, but don't explain to them what it is until
Yeah, just call it like Super Bowl commercial bingo or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No white people.
Yep.
Trans rights something or other. Like just make up a bunch of different cards.
Classy,
I can see somebody doing this for all of us here on the. I'm sure somebody in the chat will end up doing this for.
I think
Climate change commercials are going to be several.
Yep. I'm telling you.
And here's the cool thing. Somebody who does this regularly is our one of our friends in our sphere. He and his wife riding Raven. Why did his name?
Masters of TDS.
Masters of TDS. He's been doing that forever. It's genius. Speaking of genius, here's the man from the Master Control Center himself, Jason from Sci-Fi from ETV.
Hey, Jason.
Howdy. I'm here. Y'all can start now.
Thank you.
But shit,
Well,
you'd need what, maybe 10 or 15 different bingo cards, and then you'd be good. If that mix them up a little bit.
He can do that. Look at that. Look at his setup. Wow.
Yeah, that is really awesome.
I have to take down the branding thing just so you can see how awesome it is.
He's making us all feel like shit.
Look, I know. Look at him. He looks like he just got done working out. He's got the studio.
I actually asked him a while ago about how to do some of this stuff.
Yeah,
But,
we're supposed to do some OBS workshop stuff.
Yes, I know. Time gets away from me, man. It's, as Andre says, it's tougher than it looks.
It is, yeah. I mean, and you work really hard, Tom, and you don't sleep, and and then you yell at me when nobody.
And I only edited half of a video today. Then Andre's like, "Good, you can help me with the thumbnail."
Classic cannabis.
And then he comes up with shit like put googly eyes or angry eyes. It's like, it's not a lot easier than just, it's like working with my dad again on the computer sometimes. It's like you got to remind him of why it's not the easiest thing to do. But
make the eyes space lasers.
Exactly. Did you see the fucking thumbnail from earlier? Yeah, exactly that.
Hey,
sorry, you were about to say something there. I didn't mean to.
Let me ask you this real quick. Do you guys hear static in my audio at all?
Just like a slight fan.
Somebody's got some, but I don't know that it was you.
But I don't know if it's you. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's probably me with a heater, but yeah, it's
I have got
that might be him.
I've got these little barrels on just about everything now, and I still can't get this static to go away, and it's driving.
That sounds like it might be something on your end that you're only hearing it because we're not hearing it.
Yeah, and it's probably on your side, and if it's anything, it's your grounding loop.
It could that or your Wi-Fi, or it could be 6.
Oh yeah, 6.
Well, I'm hardlined on the network, so I'm not on Wi-Fi.
Do you have a Wi-Fi router around though? Because it sends out FM signals, and sometimes that can interfere.
My Wi-Fi
with
router is way back.
It just matters if you're in the line of. We were just picking. I don't know. Somebody just brought you up as a.
I've been muted for an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, we know.
I was wondering why I hadn't heard from you.
That's why we're giving you shit.
I didn't do it.
Okay, so real quickly, Classy Cannabis wants me to say this. It wasn't me.
But I caught you on the counter.
Boo.
It wasn't me.
And I saw you on the sofa.
Boo.
It wasn't me.
You got him on camera.
It could be 6. That's right, Angie Blue.
No, what I was going to say, though, Jason, is actually a Wi-Fi router will sometimes cause interference with shit.
Oh, no.
Yeah?
No, 6 just left us.
She thinks we're making fun of her. She didn't realize.
I was not. I missed 6.
We weren't making fun of her.
How was that?
6, come back.
Yeah, bring back 6. It's fit perfectly.
Yeah, Brahm, if you want to do that.
6, come back. You can put it all on culture. 6, come back.
CC.
Okay.
Of course, a bunch of men drew away the only woman on the show.
Of course we did.
He was wrong.
This is exactly why there's going to be a T-Mobile commercial about the patriarchy that comes out during the Super Bowl.
Otherwise, you have your cell phone nearby. I was going to say that can also cause interference noise.
All right, real quick, I have to do this because 6 left. Baby, come back.
So we were just fucking singing.
Who could see?
Right?
You can blame it all on CC.
I think sometimes culture has like Alzheimer's.
He was trying to outshine us, Tom, is what it was.
Yeah, you're right. That's what it was.
Well, he's giving you a lesson of delayed gratification.
Right.
Is that the female orgasm?
That doesn't exist.
I wouldn't know.
Where was that again?
Hey,
Jupiter.
I got a joke. Who makes the perfect boyfriend?
A dog? At least that's what I seen on Twitter.
No, the Dallas Cowboys. 'Cause you never have to worry about them beating anybody.
Oh.
Six, come back. I didn't say nothing.
It's because Jolly didn't come on naked, and she's mad. I'll send you a couple nudes, Six. Make it up to you.
All I know is I'm blaming it on culture.
Clearly my phone.
That seems like a safe bet.
Savage. That's right. All right, we got. We had something else. Is this going to
share this real quick before we go too far off? Because this is funny. Why you said laser beam eyes?
Oh.
This was the thumbnail I ended up working.
Oh
on.
my!
I didn't see it. I just guessed that
That's
would
what
be
I was like. Oh, you
something.
must have saw it. That's why you said that. I was like, oh, you didn't. Weird.
Can we get a Sessler with freaking lasers on it?
That's what Andre's like. He's like, I want angry eyes and I want her with the crying eyes. He's like, just put the eyes on it. And I'm like, well, I gotta find the right angle and shit, Andre. I mean, it's not like, you know.
That's freaking hilarious.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Culture. Back to your program.
Well, no, there was nothing.
You better go apologize to Six. I don't know what you did, but
Right?
Why is it my fault? I didn't do it.
because it's your fucking show.
Because you started singing "Baby Come Back," you can blame it all on me.
And she took
So
her
she's gonna blame it all on you, and she should.
was wrong.
Mrs. Flu, yeah, he does look like he's Amish in that picture. It's weird. He looks
Yeah,
like
I
an evil
thought
Amish
I was
dude.
thinking Amish Superman there for a minute, but
Something like that, yeah. Like if Zod was Amish.
yeah.
Jason had some kind of a story he asked me about. I don't know if it's pertinent. Pertinent? Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Pertinent?
Well, I thought we were going to get on a story from Jacob, but what was this
We
all
were.
about now?
We were, and then
Okay.
we didn't. I don't know. I know this.
What
Mr.
did we do?
Tickenberg sent a $5 Canadian super chat saying, "Getting D pics are like when your cat brings you a dead mouse. I know you're really proud of it, but I ain't touching it."
My cat brought me a brain once.
Ooh, lovely. You know what my cat used to do? He used to rip the heads off, and what he would do is he'd like rip the spine out with it. It was like the cleanest I've ever seen any, like no blood, none, not a drop.
Like a Sub-Zero
Oh, yeah.
fatality.
Predator
Yeah, like a
style.
Sub-Zero.
Presented it like dinner.
Yes. Yeah, and he would too. He would sit there and he'd have the bird laying there without the head. Every time you could come out and see where the head's just completely missing, you can see right down into the bird. You're like, oh, that's fucking nasty. And then he'd be running around with the fucking bird's head and the spine in his mouth, just running. Like, you fucking sick bastard.
Hey, ladies, I got a little life hack for you. If anyone sends you a dick pic, all you have to do is respond, "Is that infected?" and then never answer another message he sends you after that. And just fuck with his mind.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad I never had to go through that. You know, I was
Yeah.
already married long, long ago.
Well, this is the fundamental reason why men and women don't understand each other. One of the main reasons, anyway.
Yeah.
It's because men don't know how to turn down sex, and women, that's all they do is turn down sex.
What now?
No. Some women, no. Others just
Some
say
things
they belong.
require.
Some women belong to the streets. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know, man. Exactly. If you got a vagina, somebody is trying to get in it. I guarantee it.
Was that a vagina?
Vagina?
Hey, I have that button. All right, real quick.
Yeah, but do you have this one?
No, that sounds bad. I know this.
That's a
Annie-
Wilhelm scream.
I know.
That's Star Wars.
And
Do you have the Goofy scream? Do you have that one? That one sounds.
Oh,
a little
no,
better.
I need to get that one.
Andy Masterson says, "I'm doing a Sessler parody figure."
Nice.
That's all.
Sweet. Are you going to dress him like an Amish dude?
Oh, I hope so.
Are you
Can we
going to put
get-
his
can we
arms
get-
to where they can do this?
Can you play Amish Paradise in the background?
Yes, and when you do that, he starts seal clapping like Brahma just said.
Yeah.
Sorry. Wow, we are way off on this show.
Hey, we came with 2 topics,
ever
and
on?
we've stretched one into an hour and
Sorry,
a half.
Wilhelm,
And I don't
I'm
even
sorry.
know what that topic was anymore.
Okay, so I know Jason has a story. I know Jacob has a story.
Well,
Jacob, do you
mine's
have a
sports
story?
related, so
I
Go
what's
ahead,
know
Jason.
everybody's
story?
got a story to tell, but nobody's
mine
got a
was
story
politics
like this
related.
one. Nobody.
All right, I'm gonna let
shots in
Jacob.
China.
I'm gonna let Jacob take the. I'm gonna do something fun.
Trying to
Okay,
move a little
I don't-
merchandise, maybe find a Christmas present for my
here,
kid.
And
Then I
I'm
tried
gonna-
this one
I'm gonna-
place.
I'm gonna do this. Okay, there's Jacob. Hi, Jacob.
Hey, how's it
Okay,
going?
do you have a story to tell?
Yeah, we're gonna put it up, or I'm just gonna go just straight to storytelling mode here.
Yeah, put
If
it
your
up.
washing machine goes
You're the one
out,
reading it. I don't want to be in control.
We don't need to
okay.
read it. All we
What do you
Mike,
think?
need to
I'm
know
gonna
is what
run
happened.
this. I'm gonna run
never
this
can
show.
tell.
Is that what you're thinking right now?
You
Yeah,
haven't
of
done a
course.
good job of it so far.
Yeah, send all the
Ah.
super chats to me too. By the way, I'm taking over those as well.
Oh.
So I'm pretty sure most of you guys have heard of the name Shannon Sharp whenever you've been covering stories
Bring
in
up
the past, right?
story. We can't see.
Oh, well, this is your show. I didn't have to bring up my
I
own story
just
too.
said.
All right, there we go.
All right.
Also, you need a producer.
I know.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
wow.
Where's that guy? Probably
that.
somewhere. It's
You got like this is like the skinny story. Look at
I
that.
think she left just a couple minutes ago.
So I'm pretty sure some of you guys have heard the name Shannon Sharp, especially if you're in like the sports world. So just in case you don't know who he is, he's a former football player, Hall of Famer, who is now doing the sports. The Fox Sports show with Skip Bayless, that Undisputed show, which is absolutely awful, terrible to watch. So he got into a skirmish last Friday night at the Lakers Grizzlies game. They were playing in LA last Friday night. And apparently there was words being jarred between him and multiple players on the Grizzlies. Essentially, we all know Sharp is a very big LeBron James fan. He got to a point where he was heckling some of the players, saying that he couldn't, that they couldn't guard LeBron or handle LeBron. So the players got sick of his mouth and basically told him to shut the F up. Where he started to get up and basically tried to challenge a bunch of 20-year-olds to a fight. Keep in mind, Shannon Sharp's like 54 years old, by the way, and this is him right there on the bottom here. And just kind of give you a little backstory here is that in the second quarter of the game, Shannon got into a verbal dispute with multiple players on the court to the point where security had to get involved, temporarily delayed the game. He was escorted away from his courtside seats, his very expensive courtside seats, for the duration of the second quarter. Then they let him back on, and then everyone hugged, and that was kind of the end of it at that point. The only problem was that there's multiple things wrong with this story. One is that if you recall a couple of weeks ago when the Buffalo Bills player Damar Hamlin went down from a heart attack, in the middle of the game, went into cardiac arrest. Shannon Sharp was so offended by one of Skip Bayless's tweets regarding the situation, he did not show up for his show that following Monday because he was appalled by the unprofessionalism of Skip Bayless during that time. And then 2 weeks later, a guy who was so offended by unprofessional acts that he didn't show up to work, he's now trying to get in a fight with 20-year-old basketball players on national television the very next day. So that shows great character. And then another thing just goes to show you kind of the elitism of, how we treat certain celebrities, especially people in the media, because this guy literally got into an altercation with multiple basketball players on the court during a game, delayed the game, was only escorted for like 5 minutes of a quarter, and was brought back to his seat. If any one of us had pulled what he pulled last Friday night, we not only would have been ejected from the arena, we probably would have been banned from the arena to going from any events in the future. It doesn't matter if it was the Kings, the Clippers, the Lakers, that Staples would have never let us back in after the fact. But of course, he's Shannon Sharp and he's a celebrity. It's all well and good. So then his buddy LeBron James come out after the fact and defended Shannon Sharp's actions, called him unk. It's like, oh, it's no big deal. And also keep in mind, this is the same player, LeBron James, who has had multiple fans ejected from courtside seats over the last couple of years alone due to heckling him. LeBron, in his own words, it says that some of the fans at courtside has said some mean things to him, and he's literally stopped the game, pointing out him to security to have them ejected from the arena because of their foul intentions. But of course, he gives a pass to starting fights with players on the field. So it's just a whole whirlwind of hypocrisy here here with this story. So I'm not sure if Culture wants to retake the control of his show here. But what do you guys kind of think of the whole Shannon Sharp debacle, which I'm pretty sure will get covered by most of the sports media when he does his next show tomorrow morning. So
I'm actually going to check out. So as somebody who comes from Packerland, I'm going to say we disown Shannon.
No, very good. Good choice.
Yes, we will not speak of him again.
All right. Well, Tom, I want to say thank you for joining us this evening. I miss you, and I'll see you in the morning.
All righty, sir. Take care, guys. I'm going to run.
Tom.
Love y'all.
Bye, Tom.
Well,
Shannon Sharp's always been a loudmouth and an idiot.
Yeah.
True story.
And I'm from Colorado, where he played his, football career. He was a loudmouth then. I mean, sometimes he could be funny, but he was a loudmouth, and he got himself in trouble quite often.
So my question is, does anybody really care whether or not he and Skip Bayless do the show together ever again?
No.
It seems like they're pretty much on their last leg on that show anyway, because they can't stand each other. So I think one way or another, that show's probably going to be wrapping up pretty soon when their contracts are up. But yeah, I think we got to the part where most of the sports media are sick of both of them at this point.
I've been sick of him for a long time. Skip has always annoyed me, but Shannon Sharp has always been like very ill-informed about a lot of things that he talks about. Does it bother me that, he called out Skip for being non-professional? Skip's never been accused of being professional, trust me. But, and again, I mean, sports ball doesn't usually play in our sphere, but I'm going to say this. These are entertainers. I mean, that's what both of these guys do. And the fact that he can't control himself in public is not a good look. That's all I can say about it.
Yeah, it's not a good look when you're supposed to be representing a member of the media and you're getting into fights with basketball players at a game who are almost 30 years younger than you. And so, of course, some idiots out there were trying to make the excuse of, well, he was at a game. He wasn't representing, Fox. He was off duty. It's like, no, look, just because you guys work at like McDonald's and Starbucks and when you clock out at 6 p.m., you just act a fool on the streets on Friday nights doesn't mean that people who represent members of the media are allowed to start fights at basketball games and get away with it. It's supposed to be cool. It's like, no.
I mean, honestly, put that in perspective. If, let's say, pick your favorite celebrity. Oh, how about the Rock Johnson? How about Dwayne the Rock Johnson gets into a fist fight at a basketball game?
Let me interject for a second. I like Rock the Rock Johnson better. Can we just call it Rock the Rock?
Wow, Rock. I feel like that's going to be a Disney Star Wars film. Oh, sorry. Anyway.
Geode,
Sorry,
the Rock.
Yes.
I think
Jennifer Lawrence was the first Rock.
But she was. I think that the Rock could be a great Geode in that Star Wars film.
They would need him at this point. I mean,
Keely, Chow, Roll Tide. Good to see you, buddy.
I would rather see them bring back Jason Whitlock to talk about sports any day of the week over any of these idiots.
He's done such a great job, and I usually don't use the Lord's name in vain, but he's done such a great job of just saying things the way they are. I mean, his stuff recently is just I think the term the kids are using now is based.
Yeah, Jason Whitlock's been killing it over the last couple of months in his coverage on a lot of these events. And I'm very interested to see what he has to say about this tomorrow. So definitely follow him if you haven't been.
As long as we don't get another Stephen A. Smith show. I would rather have Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp continue to be idiots than Stephen A. Smith.
But did you hear Stephen in the last 2 weeks? Stephen A. Smith has gone, I'm not digging this anymore. I don't want to. He's already said we did too much politics for too long. We lost the plot. I mean, he actually came out and started saying some things for real, and this doesn't happen very often, in sports media. And he's
good for him, but I still can't stand listening to the guy. I mean, all he does is scream at people.
He's got a new podcast out now too. I heard him talking to Hannity about it the other day, and they're friends, and they've been friends for a very long time. Have talked about the basis for their friendship being faith. and just like, yeah, we can disagree on politics and all this other stuff, but we're both, we're both Christians. We're both, we're both believers in God, and that forms the basis of their friendship. And everybody's just like, how can you be friends with that person? That kind of thing. I mean, we've run into that here a little bit.
Yeah, well, and again, I mean, I'm friends with people that I'm not ideologically aligned with, but it never enters into the conversation. I can have conversations with people from widely, crazily different opinions. That stuff never bothers me.
You know what's funny is that up until like the last 10 years, believe it or not, we lived in a time where you could be friends with someone you didn't agree with politically. Like, there used to be a time not too long ago where that was just kind of the norm. Yeah. And because we pushed the window so far to the left here, now it's like, oh, you're friends with that person who holds this view about this topic? How can you do something like that? It's like that whole conversation has only started in like the last decade where that was even a thing.
I've had my co-host on H2O podcast. He and I are on opposite ends of the political spectrum, but we've been friends for a very long time. And he's actually gotten that, that how can you be friends with him? He voted for Trump. How can you be friends with him? And questioning him is like, we're friends. It's that there is something beyond this tribalism that we've devolved into, and I think it goes back even further than 10 years. I think it started.
Oh no! Well, yeah,
in earnest in the Obama administration years.
Absolutely.
Well, okay, so
the division started.
I agree. I mean, we just started to talk about some of this stuff, and I was interviewed by Carrie Smith, our famous knitter, as well. I was going to introduce her, but no, you're fine, and thank you. I will never stop it, Jason. No, but Carrie reminded me that maybe it started well before that, right? Because I started to think back. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. When did I stop paying attention to comic books? When did I stop paying? When did shows start to lose me? When did I start to see a shift in entertainment? When did things get worse? It was much sooner than I think a lot of us can recollect. I think that if we go back in time, you can start to see that kind of happen, right? But you know what else you can kind of see happen? Great super chats for Sean Carter for $5. Here's a great super chat. What a segue, right? There are 4 to 7 days a month that many men are perfectly happy to take a rain check. That harkens back to a previous conversation in this stream, and I will not dwell upon it. But that's brilliantly written, and it's very funny.
Do you remember?
Harkens back to a story from last night from Culture Casino that you would have to go check out on my Rumble channel.
Oh my!
Yeah. Do you remember when Bill Clinton was the first black president, and everybody kind of thought that was silly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember when he went on Arsenio with the saxophone and everyone loved him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It was cool.
What's funny is that arguably turned his campaign around.
Yep.
Yeah, because people saw him as cool.
No, actually, it brought it humanized
with it.
I mean, okay, so in PR speak, it humanized him. Sorry, that's what happened there. Yeah. So,
it made them think, I'm hip. I'm with
Michael
it.
T here? What are friends? What's up, Michael T? Good to see you, buddy. Hey, Larry's here. All right. So sorry. Anyway, sorry. I'm like what do you call it? I get really easily distracted. Squirrel.
Yeah. So that's why we interrupt you so much, because then we don't have to listen to the.
Whoa! What happened now?
CC, were you going to say something? Sorry.
I was going to say talk about the difference between the analog age and the digital age, because it refers to social media and all the rest as well. Is right around the year 2000, bands went from recording on tape to recording digitally, and that was the point at which they started recording to a metronome. Back in the analog days, they recorded free; they just played. And now that we're in the digital age, and you think about digital effects in movies as opposed to practical effects, it's the very same thing. Everything is
Yeah, I think it was like, wasn't it like 2001, 2002, where even like for like cable it went from analog to digital around that time too.
Age,
Yeah.
So there's no push and pull anymore. There's no organicness to anything. It's
well, and there was no problem solving anymore, right?
Yeah.
Because you were confronted with an idea, a shot that the director or somebody wanted, right? And now the cop out is the computer, right? There was no cop out when you were doing practical effects. You have to build a thing. You have to make a thing. It can either be
made or it can't.
Yeah. This is either going to happen or it's not. There is no in between. You can't fake it, right? And the problem is now the faking is so bad because nobody's given enough time to do the work. And I did a story on this that came, the primary impetus was the Vulture article, which talked about the fact that Disney was essentially creating this, this union. They were literally making another challenge for Hollywood and creating a VFX union, because that's what they were doing. They created an enemy out of all these VFX houses because they expect them to do 4 times the work for half the pay. Insane. It's insane. Speaking of insane, tribalism can be insane. Mr. Tickle Trunk for a Canadian $2 says tribalism is small brained. Lizard brain losers. You know what? I understand that. A lot of people lean heavily into tribalism. You don't have to do that. You can be part of a group. That's fine. But you have to preserve your ability to think for yourself. That's the important thing.
That's too painful, though.
I don't know about that.
Well, and you get to back, and I don't know if I've talked about it on this show before, but I've got a high school classmate of mine went on to study psychology. She's a professor of psychology at San Diego State University now. And she has, for the last 20 some odd years, been studying what she calls iGen, which is generations, well, I guess 2 now, maybe 3, of people who have been so connected to the internet. They're wired in. They have grown up with the internet. They don't know anything else. And the social media has exacerbated it, but it started before that, where it's instant gratification. If I need to look something up, I'll just Google it. If I want to watch something, I'll just go to YouTube. It's right here at the tip of my fingers, and boom, done. And the social media has fed into the me part, and the rest of the internet has given us the now. And there's no sense of delayed gratification. There's no appreciation for having to work for something. And it's like this sense of entitlement has set in. What do you mean I have to work for something? I just want it, and I want it now.
Don't forget the out of control narcissism that comes with it as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's actually a product of where we're living right now, because you can be inculcated, right? Without being cognizant of it. And that's what's actually happening. I used a fancy word, indoctrination, right? You can be indoctrinated without even being aware. And social media does that. And it does create a reflective narcissistic personality disorder that would not have normally been present. We all have, you all have an id, an ego, and a super ego. Everybody does. But what's happening is people are constantly just surrendering to the id, the want, the project. You're always trying to project your best possible self. There are so many people who are quote unquote influencers that are the most miserable humans on the planet. And speaking of the most miserable humans on the planet, we have our good friend, that 70s rock fan.
Well, good evening. I'd like to think of myself as a happy person, a positive person.
That's called a segue.
But I can be miserable if you wish. I can be miserable if you wish.
No. I did that for fun and prizes.
I know, mate. I know.
Good
evening.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Just to go back to another earlier point, I put a link in the chat. There's this outfit called In Camera. Yeah. They've got a YouTube channel where they go in and recreate a lot of things without CG. They'll actually go in with physical models
I love that.
And cards and plastic and all sorts of things, basically saying, here's how we did this. They'll recreate the title sequence for The Thing, for example, or they'll do a submarine shot or different things. And it's really interesting to see how they go through all of it, because it's all practical. And it's fascinating to watch some of that stuff. It's called in-camera TV.
Yeah. And if you're a nerd, I just posted the link in the chat, so do check that out. I'm a big fan of, you guys already know this, but I'm a big fan of the practical effects. That's where I think it's at. That's why I really like horror, because horror right now is going back to practical effects and making amazing things. It's one of the reasons why I love puppets. That's why I love these guys down here. And he's taking a nap right now or something. I don't know.
Me? No,
yeah. That's what I thought.
Usually during this show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just waiting for the shots to come out.
Well, I just gave you a shot.
Been drinking all night.
Oh.
Yeah.
70s rock fans here.
Yeah, wake up.
He is.
And smell the sheep.
You bastard.
Nano Reaper had that comment that you had displayed a little bit ago about tribalism and everything.
Yeah.
So for me, when I feel kind of like what you have said about your politics culture, that you got kind of left into where you are now.
Where I am now.
I feel like I got pushed into tribalism to a degree, because there's only so many times you can be called a racist, Nazi, fascist, and still want to hang out with people that are calling you that, even though there's no evidence that you have ever done any of those things. And I think when that language gets involved, you're going to be pushed into the tribalism, whether you really wanted to or not. I don't have a problem talking with people that are of a different political persuasion than I am. But the second those words come out, I'm done with them. I'm not going to argue with people that are that ignorant. I'm not going to associate with people that are that ignorant, that, their only thing is racist, sexist, fascist. I mean, it gets old. I would love to have discourse, but I find that many of the people that I am able to speak to don't want a discourse.
Nope. It's like, have you guys seen the video floating around Twitter today about the girl who tried to set up the video at the gym where she was trying to catch the guy? The guy was like looking at her. It's like she's trying to portray herself as a victim, and this has become an ongoing trend of women who are at the gym. They're setting up cameras of themselves watching out, and literally any man who looks at them for 2 seconds is like, oh, look at this creep over here and stuff like that. It's these people are just dripping of just uncontrollable narcissism, and it's when you see people like that, it's what, I don't even want to be anywhere associated with you.
But also, look, you're right, and I've seen that video. I know what you're talking about. Probably many people who pay attention to social saw it too. But they're trying for that gotcha moment, right? That's what you're suggesting. And at the same time, somebody might be looking at you because you are exercising in the stupidest possible way that guarantees injury.
Yep.
I can't tell you how many times I've been in the gym that I was trying to prevent somebody from hurting themselves.
Or maybe they just see you setting up a video camera of yourself taking up half of the gym, and they're thinking, what the hell is she doing over there? And then it's oh, I got this creeper now. It's no, I didn't. It's funny too, because like I said, she expected everyone to be on her side when she posted that video, and then everyone was like, no, you're the problem in this equation. Do you understand that?
I don't want our lives to be about trying to catch people behaving badly, right? I think there's
what YouTube is for.
Well, no, I think there's a certain time and a place for that, right? When people are behaving badly and it hurts either something that's really important or it hurts another person, that's an entirely different thing. But I don't think I'm going to set up my fellow humans in a moment, to utilize that for, I don't know, my advancement or whatever else is being done here, because you're doing a disservice to humanity, and I want to do service to humanity, which is again one of the reasons why my channel's the way it is. Speaking of which, I have more support from our friend Sean Connor with a $5 Super chat. Thank you, Sean Carter, for that. It says, to Culture's point, with notable exceptions like Tron. Right, Tron was the actual first computer-generated like stuff that you're going to see in film, supposedly. But supposedly, excuse me. And some few others. CGI is best when used to support or augment. Glad to see the tide turning. Me too, Sean, because I like that. I really
for the
do.
longest time, one of the problems with CG was that it was too clean. Yeah, it was too sharp. It was too hyper real. And they realized in order for us to really sell the CG, we got to dirty it up a little bit. You know, it's got to be blurry. It's got to have some artifacting and that kind of thing to actually make it look like it's practical. I was like, well, just do it practical then. You know, do it in camera. So yeah, they have
that requires talent and effort.
Well, there's that. Yes.
No, why do that when you can just slave away a VX studio for $300 million and force them to do everything?
Right.
You know what? I'll use an example that's really obvious here, but Metropolis, 1927, I think.
Oh yeah.
And that movie holds up today. It looks incredible with all its practical effects. It looks better than most anything you'll see today.
Did you went to film school or did you take film class?
I did, and then you know what? I dropped out because the politics just.
Oh yeah.
they were just like it was so incredible how everybody kind of like pooled together, and you had to play the game, and you had to like agree with the right people, and you had to like do it this way, and it was just
Yeah,
and then there was the hierarchy, right? The cinematographers.
I asked that question because usually your first experience in film is the old silent classics. That's usually the first things you start to see. And so when you look at what Buster Keaton was doing, right, the special effects and some of that stuff is insane. You wouldn't even know it. Everything that they're doing is practical, but in large part, even though he's doing his own stunts, he was not in any real danger. There are scenes where Chaplin, Buster Keaton, and a few other of these silent stars that did some of these action scenes, right? It looked like in frame that they were in peril. They were going to fall from a high clock tower somewhere, hanging on to the hand, when really they were no more than 4 feet or so from a platform that was right below them that you couldn't see because of how it was being shot. Creative photography was one of the first forms of special effects because you created a sense of space that outside of the frame or the lens, you wouldn't see. It was all an illusion, and they mastered the illusion. We don't do that anymore. And, to that point, I want to say, and I think you're muted there, CC, but CGI is makeup. And if you notice the CGI, you're using too much.
Yeah, I'm always muted when I'm not talking because I'm paranoid that.
Okay. I just want to be careful because I don't.
There's a shot in Star Trek 2 that's very much like that. When Kirk and Spock are walking down the hallway and they stop in that arboretum, that atrium setup, the stuff that's in the foreground is really small, but it's really close to the camera, so it looks bigger, and so that makes that room look much bigger than it is. And all it is just forced perspective. We're just going to put these little pieces here in the front. I did it in my movie. I was like, well, I need trees. So I went to the railroad train shop, model railroad, and I bought a couple of model railroad trees and stuck them on poles and stuck them right there in the front of the camera. And hey, I've got trees in front of my building. So, it is getting to be a lost art.
It is. And again, I mean, you had masters that actually employed tactics that millions of people enjoy every single day. You know what I'm talking about? Disney.
Lost art is the key word, right?
Right.
Because when we stop making something, like I was talking to some friends months ago, it's like, who knows how to build tube TVs anymore? Now that we sell flat screen TVs, right?
No.
Now, whether or not you want one, the art of building one is being lost to time.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I can tell you right now is that if you're looking forward to practical effects, I hope you guys look forward to the new Ant-Man 3 movie, which is nothing but practical effects in that film, right? You won't be seeing any blue screen in that movie.
Actually, a lot of people would like to be able to go back to having some option for CRT TVs or tube TVs, because the retro video game people
Oh,
all
yeah.
the. I mean,
Yeah,
those
that's
are
true.
vital for them to be able to do, say, speed runs or
Well, and no matter
do
what,
certain things. It doesn't translate onto the
it,
HDs and
it,
the flat screens the same way.
and it doesn't. You're 100% right. And here's the other argument. CRTs have the best blacks, the richest, deepest blacks. When you're looking at that, outside of maybe plasma, which would come in second, in my opinion, you just can't get there.
Yeah.
And
How do you feel about that, Jacob?
no, not
I'm
that.
just thinking
Oh.
there's something suspect about what
You're
was
talking
said
about the
there.
actual color. Sorry.
part of that is that we have gotten away from our standards, NTSC standards, because if you go and look at color bars, for example, I mean, this was our way of calibrating every single screen, and we don't use these anymore. They're
No.
they're
I
done.
remember doing
They're
that.
finished. They're a relic of the past. And
I
I can put
still
this up.
calibrate my screen.
I can put this up on all of my screens here, and it's different on every single one of them.
You don't calibrate.
I try. I mean, because with these CRTs, I'm adjusting brightness and color and sharpness and whatnot to try to get them close.
Right.
But the tool that you'd actually use to do the calibration is something like $600. I'm like, I'm not spending that much money to do it once and be done. So I estimate, but we don't do this stuff anymore.
So here's a question: special or real effects versus CG.
Right.
So recently, it has come back into the news, the Alec Baldwin story, and many people said after that happened that we should now go to, guns should only be CG in movies.
Doesn't work.
What do you guys think? I
Doesn't
don't
work.
think it works, but
Doesn't work. No.
Hey, I got a better idea. Hire more qualified people. Just do that. That seems like a lot easier of a step.
Yeah, I believe
I would
that.
I would prefer to keep the guns real, but make the actors all CGI. I think that would solve the problem straight away.
I think
that's coming.
I mean, we're getting dangerously close to AI actors at this point. So
yeah.
Okay, so quickly, and this is important because society does 1 billion films a year or whatever. Just like I can't keep
130.
Sure, you watch anyway.
I heard
your preference in the theater, right? Because you see a lot of this stuff. You see more stuff than anybody I know every year.
Mm-hmm.
What's your preference? Do you prefer heavy on the effects? Do you prefer heavy on practical? What is it that you like to see? What is it that impresses you most of the time? I mean,
I would prefer practical effects because any decent movie that's actually like stood out to I think the normal let's say the normie, that's Tom likes to say, as he doesn't like. I think it's been movies with practical effects. I mean, we all remember the practical effects of like movies like Jurassic Park and Tremors and The Thing. And I know that's more of the horror elements of it, but even look at like a Michael Bay movie. Like we always mock the explosions and the car crashes and the stunts. So it's like, well, it takes a lot of time and effort to get those type of things right. You appreciate it more when you see it on screen versus like, let's say your average MCU film that will spend $300 million to just put a bunch of actors in costumes in front of blue screen, and then they just hire like a third hand animation team that fills in all the blanks for them essentially. And that's why a lot of things just like start.
There's a stunt in Ewan McGregor, Scarlett Johansson. I think it's a Michael Bay. Is it called The Island?
The Island, yeah.
Yeah, I want to say it's in that one. There's a car chase. I think it's in that one. But there's a practical effect in that where they flip a car. I mean, it hits something and flips, and the whole thing just shreds. If I'm remembering this right, I think it's in that movie. And it's so well done. And completely out of nowhere. It's like, whoa, what did I just see? And you couldn't do that. I mean, you could do it with CG, but back in the day, there was one in Nightmare on Elm Street. What was it, 4? Where she was. They had the new girl. She wasn't pregnant with the kid yet. It was, what was it, Dream Warriors?
I can't remember.
They were in a pickup
Dream
truck.
Warrior.
They were in a pickup truck, and
Dream Warriors is part 3.
Okay, so Freddy's standing in the street, and she decides that she's gonna get him. So she plows into him in the truck, but the truck, the way they've got the thing now is instead of killing Freddy, the truck just crumples from the front, and it just folds in on itself on the center line. And the way they did it is they had a chain going through the truck to the front, and when they pulled the truck out at speed, they yanked that chain back and basically just pulled the inside of the truck into the rest of it. It's a practical effect, that truck just folding in on itself. It's really impressive, and you could do it with CG, but nowadays everybody's gonna like, oh, okay, so it's CG. Nobody gets impressed anymore. Nobody looks at this stuff and like, how do they do that? You know,
Go back real quick. Just real quick, go back and watch a film like Speed, and go back to a time where they didn't have the ability to do like big CGI stunts at the time. The capability wasn't there yet. So that's a film that was only a $30 million budget, which kind of seems unheard of for its time. Yeah.
And you know, and this is true. I mean, you had practical effects in Christine, a whole lot of stuff. Like, I mean, think about Teen Wolf, right? I mean, anything where you grow hair at an accelerated rate was always impressive. I mean, you know, some of the greatest werewolf films ever made would blow your mind at how they had to do it. It was all exactly. It had to be done, and Snow is also a fan of practical stuff, but it had to be done in that way. Now, I am not against CGI at all, so don't misunderstand. I'm just saying you use CGI to add to, not
augment,
make wholesale.
Yeah, I'll give
you augmentation, not wholesale. Yeah,
I'll give you guys a perfect example of a shift in the tide, so to speak. When they came up with the Thing 2011, which was technically a prequel, they promised the fans that they would do practical effects, and when we did research on it and looked it up, they were building practical effects for that movie, and it looked fantastic. Well, the producers at the end of the final cut, I guess, decided to pull the trigger and say, nah, that's not going to work. We're going to throw a bunch of CGI on top of these practical effects, completely ruin the movie. And as you know, people still talk about John Carpenter's The Thing, but nobody really talks about 2011 The Thing. So it goes to show practical effects can go a long ways. When the CGI is not done well, you could kill a franchise with it.
Mm-hmm.
Best comparison. There was this little movie, this little independent movie that was made they came out in 1977. Somebody made this thing. It was called the Star Wars.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And lots of practical effects in that one that they had to come up with from scratch, right? Because all of the studios had done away with their special effects houses at that point.
Yeah.
Nobody was doing it. These guys came from advertising.
Even the opening title scroll.
Yeah, right. That was brilliant how they did that, because they had to figure out how to do it.
The plate scroll. Yeah.
And then you look at the prequel trilogy, and you look at all of the CG who's what's it's in the prequel trilogy, and I go back to that interview with George Lucas where he's basically saying story should come first. You know, the effects are all great and wonderful and stuff, but they shouldn't overpower the story.
Right.
And the irony is that after he did that interview, he did the prequel trilogies, and the CG overpowered everything else, because we've got all these new toys that we can play with.
Oh, okay, so I saw the Star Wars in the film in the theater in 77. I think 70s rock fan may have as well. I'm not sure.
I was there. Yeah. Quadraphonic sound.
That's right. And I think, Jason, you were a little too young to see the first film in the theater. Am I right?
I was 7 years old. I saw it.
You and I are the same age.
Not too young.
Wow.
I saw it. And it was one of the few films that my mom went to go see. We all went as a family. We went to North Park Mall in Dallas.
Wow.
We saw that film.
Oh, I know where you are. I know that one.
And it blew me away. And it wasn't the Death Star or the Star Destroyer. I mean, everybody talks about the Star Destroyer
that was
forever.
But that changed my life. That minute in film changed my life.
For me, it was the music, because I sat down and you go through the previews and the thing, and it was a General Cinemas theater, so you had the little animation, that, and then suddenly this whole thing, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and then you get this blast of music.
Yeah, John Williams. Yeah.
That was that.
Oh God, that anthem.
I went home and got on my little electronic keyboard and started picking out the notes of the theme that day.
Wow.
I was like, that music just completely changed everything for me. And then, yes, the Star Destroyer was the next thing. I was like, this is going to be a great movie. And it was.
It was so good. And I mean, again, the minute, and I swear, if we didn't go see it every single weekend, it was very, very regular pattern of me demanding we go to the theater to see the movie again. But it literally, that moment changed everything in my life. That because it created an interest in me. How did they do that? How is this being made? I got an interest in storytelling. I got an interest in computers, because I was like, wait a minute, we could have computers and spaceships and all this. I mean, I was gone, and then it changed probably who I am, because of how powerful that film was. It also changed. It made me incredibly interested in film.
Not only that, it changed the entire film industry.
It did.
Not just from the standpoint of how you make films, but also how you market films and how you merchandise films.
Well, and
all of that.
It did. And 11 Alpha makes a great point, an incredible point. Close Encounters doesn't just merit mention. It was an incredible film too. Blows my mind. Right. Yeah. This film was so impactful. You had a band make an album cover. It inspired an album cover, and it was amazing. And there was a lot of overplay. I went to see ELO in concert, in a giant outdoor festival concert with my parents, where they opened the concert with a spaceship that rose up from behind the stage with lights. I am not kidding. I lived in the best part of time, no matter what anybody says. From 1970 through the late 90s, I lived in the best part of time.
I think one of the things is that, we always go back to the 80s, right? The 80s were all of these great movies were out at the same time. Star Trek 2 and RoboCop and Terminator and The Thing and Halloween, the Ewoks movie, all of those, right? And it's like lightning in a bottle. You have this time capsule between 76, 77 and like 90, 92, where all of the great movies of the modern era live, right? You have all of the classic films, Bringing Up Baby and 2001 and Gone with the Wind and Citizen Kane and all that. But for recent history, that block of time right there really was kind of the best of the best for a lot of people, for a number of generations. And I have yet to see anything really that good on a regular basis current year. Top Gun Maverick is probably the only one that feels like it belongs in that same space.
It does, because it was 100% reflective of the original film. There was so much carryover and emotion, and because of the relationship between Maverick and, I guess, an adopted or pseudo son, right?
Yeah.
And when you look in Darth Scipio, let me tell you right now, Close Encounters had the best practical effects with mashed potatoes.
I think one of the reasons why one of the reasons why you look at Star Wars more than you look at Close Encounters at that point, when it comes to practical effects, is because there were more of them. Close Encounters had the the shaking mailboxes and all that stuff they did in camera, but as far as like the spaceships and the others, the model work, Close Encounters had the one ship, right? Whereas Star Wars, you had all of the ships. You had the dogfights and the X-wings and the TIE fighters and everything swooping in and flying and whatever, and it's very much more complicated, the number of shots that they were doing with that. And I think that makes a big difference in terms of the impact that it had. Close Encounters is a great story. It has a great personal story. But from an effects standpoint, Star Wars probably had the bigger impact because it had more of that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, and then at the same time, and this is a good point. And Brian, I'm going to answer this question. I think everybody else should give it an answer if you've got one. Why have movies become so lazy? Because they can. The audience doesn't demand better. I mean, it all comes down. It's always a numbers equation in business, and that includes cinema. If the studios can get away with doing certain things, they will. They will.
I think we are demanding better, though, Culture. We do demand better, and as a result, we're vilified for it by the studios. So we are demanding better.
But we're seeing a result. And again, correct me if I'm wrong. I want you guys to all think about it. And if you've got an answer, go for it. But there are fewer butts in seats now. You don't get an audience of that fills up a theater weekend after weekend after weekend. I mean, Avatar: The Way of Water is the exception, but it has no competition. I mean, imagine if you had the competition we had in the 90s. Think about 92, 93, 94 in the theaters, right? Just you go through those years. There was immense competition then.
Yeah.
And you had so many different films released in that period of time. And there were blockbusters released against each other that competed with each other. We don't have that right now. We haven't had that in a long time.
I think even with the massive budget and the success of Avatar, there's an appetite for people to see things on screen that actually exist, not things that are created by a computer. Yeah. And it occurred to me during this conversation, the advent of the green screen, you can create backgrounds, you can create unusual environments with a computer now, rather than having to scour the earth for unusual environments to create your locations.
True. I mean, not actually in space.
Instead of having to find a foreign country, a foreign city, you can just create it all on a screen around you digitally, and it's not going to have the same impact.
I think that's one of the things Andor has going for it is the fact that it's shot on location. They're practical sets. They didn't use the volume the way you see with Kenobi and Book of Boba Fett and The Mandalorian, and you can tell you can actually get a feel for. I mean, as impressive as that Unreal Engine game stuff is for the volume, and for those different studios that ILM is putting together, you still do have a difference, and a lot of people can't tell. A lot of people aren't trained. They're not trained to look for it. They don't know what they're seeing. But once you know what to look for, you can kind of see it. There's just a little flicker around the edge where the cat walks through the hallway twice, right? The glitch in the Matrix, and it's getting better. I'm interested to see just how well the young Indiana Jones effects are going to work.
I think it'll work, and you know how the Craftwork space works and the volume and all that, right? It's all based off of some really old tech, actually, but it's just when you look at it, it's still not dimensional. You can drop a background behind an actor. I mean, I do it all the time on this green screen I just showed a second ago. I can drop a background in here. I can drop a dimensional background. I can create depth. I can create motion, the whole 9 yards. It could be kinetics that happen, but it's not going to look 100% real, right? No matter how good I get at it, it's just not. I can layer multiple effects behind myself, and it's almost impossible to get there. And on the rare occasion that somebody does do it, and it's happened on film before, it's a fleeting moment because it evaporates, because you might get it right on one scene, but you're not going to get it right at everywhere. Shadows aren't going to fall the same. Light plays differently dimensionally, and as good as computers have gotten at reproducing that, they're not there yet. And the problem is that now people are like, well, it's good enough. Okay, so we'll move down the road further. We're going to create fake actors. Well, those still aren't good enough. I mean, it's still like reality and a video game playing together. And while I love video games, I'll play in that world, but I know it's not photorealistic. You cannot make a digital photorealistic character yet.
Yeah. So you asked the question, Culture.
Yeah, I did.
First off, are we going for a few more minutes because Jacob has to go? But I would like to.
Oh shoot! Yeah, I'm sorry, Jacob. I didn't know you had to bail, brother. Thanks for being here, man. Yeah, Jacob, tell everybody what you do, where you are, why you do it, and if you were going to keep doing it, and whatever else.
Yeah, so Society Reviews on YouTube, Twitch, on Twitter as well. I also have the main site, societyreviews.com, where you can read all of my reviews and news and videos there. Tomorrow night on Twitch and on Twitter, we're going to be doing the movie night where we watch Vira, Mistress of the Dark. So check us out on Monday night. Then Tuesday, Barroom Podcast on Society Reviews. Wednesday, Black Pill stream on Bounding in the Comics YouTube stream. And I have like 6 articles that are pending on Bounding in the Comics. So whenever those ever make print, then I'll let you guys know. So, but that's pretty much all I got coming up right now. So,
all right. Well, Jacob, thank you for being with us. I appreciate all of the support you give the channel and everything that you do. Check out his, obviously the Barroom Podcast, but check out his channel and Jacob in general, because he's everywhere, including Bounding in the Comics. Thanks for being here, brother. I appreciate it.
Bye, guys.
Bye, buddy.
See you, Jacob.
Bye.
So you asked a question, why are butts in the seat? There are a few reasons, I think. Okay. So I think there's 3 reasons, if I'm thinking of it correctly. But so the first reason is they just keep rehashing old stories. They're not creating anything new. Yeah. The second reason is, and there may not be 3 reasons, but the second reason is I've got an 80-inch TV at my house. Unless it's a blockbuster that I really want to see, or it looks like it's a blockbuster, I'm perfectly happy waiting and seeing it on my 80-inch TV with a sound system that rattles my floor, which is, perfectly fine for seeing a movie. Where when I don't want to hear a whole bunch of people talking in the row behind me or laughing out loud and me not hearing what's going on, I can pause it and rewind it. If my wife asks me a question like, the typical, what's going on in this movie? And it's like, you've been watching this whole movie too. You should know the same amount of information I do. But I can rewind it and hear that line that I missed. I don't feel a need to go to the theater anymore, except for something like Top Gun Maverick, except for something like Dune.
So you're suggesting
they're not giving us things that actually make me want to go to a theater outside of these things that are spectacles. Because if you're going to redo every single movie from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, I've already seen it. I can watch it at home if I really want to when it comes out. And the window is shrinking from when it's in the theater to when it comes out.
Or just let Fathom Events re-release it. I've seen 2001 on the big screen twice now.
Oh, and it's incredible, right? And that experience is irreplaceable. CC, I know, I'm pretty sure you agree with that. The theater experience for something like that, an epic film, and I'm going to call that an epic film. There's not a lot of epics anymore either, by the way.
Right.
But for an epic film, there's nothing like it, right?
That's right up there. If we're talking Stanley Kubrick, I'm actually going Eyes Wide Shut. But
that is
visual
such a weird
perspective.
Film. Yeah. If you haven't seen
visual,
if you have not seen Eyes Wide Shut, audience, first of all, find the unrated if you can, and be prepared to have a lot of modern comparisons to it. You're looking for something that would appeal to the modern audience, or at least reflect the world around you at the moment.
Yeah,
that one might do it. Woo!
That movie really takes a very thorough approach to the human condition that I haven't seen in any other movie since or before.
Well, there's one coming out from the son of Cronenberg, David Cronenberg. His son just recently did a surreal film. I think it's getting screened at Sundance. It is bonkers, bananas, crazy, and it could be indicative of a future that we could live within. Whoa, uncomfortable. I forget what it's called. It's very strange, but the really pretty looking Skarsgård's in it. Shoot, what's it called? Nuts. Anyway, I'll try to remember. But there's a couple comments and some supers I want to get to real quick, and then this is an amazing discussion tonight, gentlemen. I'm enjoying this. Sean Carter for $5 says studios, like every other industry, will naturally be as lazy as the most profitable demographic will tolerate.
Right.
That's 100% right.
Oh, that was my third point.
Well, then, well done.
Kids do not care about going to see movies. They're not watching media. They don't consume media. I mean, anybody under the age of about 20 doesn't really care at this point.
Would you mind if I put that in a business term real quick, Brahma?
Sure.
And say there is no urgency.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know what they've largely eliminated with streaming? FOMO.
Right.
Yeah,
that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that.
Once upon a time, people knew that something was going to air at a specific time, and they had to be there at that time, and the whole world watched it together.
You had to set your VCR to record at a specific time, or be sitting there and hit record if you didn't know how to schedule time on a VCR, which was not easy.
No, it wasn't. Especially with the analog ones, you were like, "Oh my gosh, I have to hit this thing and hit this thing and this thing and push these down and hope it works."
That was the only way to have some things.
Yeah. There was nothing worse than setting your VCR for something late at night, and you get up in the morning, you watch it and say, "We're sorry, we've had to delay this program because of such and such."
Yeah,
dude, and that's when I bought a specific videotape. And I ran it for 6 hours.
Yeah, you had to go beyond.
So it was, what was that? What was it? EPS, right? On the old-fashioned VCRs, right?
Was it EP? ESP?
Yeah, EPS. I think it was EPS because ESP was for Espanol. But yeah, no. But here's the thing, man. You would actually literally want to take a hammer to your TiVo if you missed something. Do you remember that? And it was called, and you're right, CC, appointment television. We don't have that. Well, other than obviously Game of Thrones might have been the last window into that of appointment television, because you couldn't miss that episode, because you went in the next day to your office and they were chatting about a show. You didn't want to get spoiled, and you wanted to know what was happening, and
I think some of these streamers are leaning back into that, because you're getting the weekly rollout of the episodes, and they're making a big deal on social media. It's like, hey, it's Wednesday, there's a new Bad Batch and stuff. But you're right, that sense of urgency is not there anymore. Yeah. And we've been watching, we've been going through Deep Space Nine. I'm showing Mindy the show for the first time. And we just went from season 6 to season 7, and there's been, Cisco's been gone for 3 months. And I looked at her and I said, now it actually has, when this first came out, it actually has been 3 months between these two episodes. We had to wait this whole time to find out what was going to happen.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
EP and SLP. Thank you, Karen at 82.
Super long play.
So
Southern Viking says, I mastered my VCR.
Yeah. But I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing or reading it right. Yeko Meno, I think that's how it
is.
So they made the point exactly. Do you guys remember arcades?
Yeah.
Once you could play games at home, what happened to arcades? They disappeared. What happens?
I didn't.
Arcades.
We still got one in Kansas City. There's some retro. There's some retro spots where they'll take the old cabinets and do that stuff again.
And by the way, if anybody wants a MAME cabinet and you're willing to pay me, I'll build one for you because I've built many. But
I want a Star Wars cabinet. I want the original. I want the original Star Wars stand-up wireframe video game that was in Chuck E. Cheese's.
That's not hard. I think I have
them on eBay, but they don't have the. I found the cabinet and I found the game, and I haven't found them together. I was like,
dude, I just built you one.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I want a real one. I want a vintage one.
Well, like that's so you physically are going to be able to stand there and play it, but it's like this is not real. What? Okay.
But the point is, arcades were replaced by home entertainment systems.
I understand what you're saying.
The theater we're seeing the same thing happen.
But Brahma. First of all, I went to the arcade to play the latest video game because that's where it went first, right? And it might have shown up on the Atari, or it might have shown up on the Intellivision, or it might have shown up on one of these other gaming systems. But the original was in the arcade.
But you're talking a decade before arcades, or almost 2 decades before arcades disappeared. The gaming systems took over the arcade did. It wasn't, it's in the arcade, now it's on your gaming system. It was, it became the gaming system had the game at the same time as the arcade, or it never came out in an arcade.
This is true.
And that's what you're seeing with streaming right now. And the arcade was an experience. I would go to the arcade and I would play fighting games against real people. Now I do that online. And, theaters are an experience, but we're getting closer and closer to replicating that experience at home. No, you're never going to have that full, size screen, but I can throw on my PlayStation VR and it's essentially a theater.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm watching it by myself, but the view of it is like watching a theater screen.
Well, and again, I mean, I've again with the HTC Vive and a lot of these other VR headsets, you're 100% right. Wait until you get to the PSVR 2, which is coming in February, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to be an even more involved experience than we've ever had before. And the haptics are better, and the headset's lighter. I mean, there's an
they better bring
experience.
out some freaking games for it, or I'm not buying it because the last one didn't have anything.
Yeah. CC.
The breaking point with VR is when I can put that headset on and read clearly, read text.
Yeah,
and I mean it's getting there, but it's still not like it's not quite the same.
I think you're going to be impressed with the next generation. And again, I have a video on VR coming out this week, as a matter of fact. But I already recorded it. I'm waiting for Grant to get it, put all together. But the thing is you're talking about the screen door effect, right? Where it breaks up the letters and everything else. That's going to be largely eliminated in this next generation. So when you get to the new Apple headset that's going to release sometime this year, right, in the spring supposedly, so in the next few months, because that's an AR VR thing too, which means you won't run into shit. But anyway, and then you've got obviously the new Oculus Pro, or no, it's the Quest Pro, which is the new Meta headset. It's crazy spendy. It just came out a couple months ago. It's like $1,500, but that actually can do what you're looking for.
They're building it into glasses. I mean,
that's the Apple thing. Yeah. And
my only investment in VR is going to be very remote, cabin in the woods. This headset stuff, this Meta stuff, all of this stuff is just crap. And yeah, I'm one of the old men in the room, get off my lawn types.
Troglodyte.
All of this stuff. I just, the older I get, the more I sympathize with the Luddites. There's just too much of it, and we're too dependent on it. It's everywhere, and it's in everything, and it's just infiltrated and messed us up.
I agree with you. You just inspired a random thought in me. I'm General Ludd. That's from a Blacklist episode. Anyway, all right. I'm sorry. I'm easily distracted. It's true, but no, Yeknomino is right, and you're right, Brahma, and you're right in your own weird way there, Jason, too. But I think, like I said, I mean, video games evolved, and so will everything else. But there's no fear of missing out, as Mrs. Flu was saying, and we've all talked about. There's no urgency for anything. It'll show up on streaming in a month or whatnot. And you know what? Yep. Spoilers don't even seem to bother people the way they used to. There's very few appointment television opportunities, but there are a few super chats. So I'll say Larry for $2, who says, "Hail CC and the boss." Well, she's going to enjoy that tomorrow. Thanks for all your videos. No, thank you, Larry, for your support. I appreciate it. Larry, the name's so nice. You must say it twice. Larry. There you go. And here you go. Davinia Duckworth says, "I miss the smell of popcorn." This house makes popcorn regularly in old fashioned spinning pop.
I get the sentiment though. There is something about movie theater popcorn, but it's the experience, right? It's all wrapped around the idea of going and having this experience that it's a shared experience. You're going on a date, you're going with your spouse, your significant other, your family, or the group of friends or your frat buddies or whatever. And you're going to have this, you're having this thing together, this event. And you're right. There's no reason to go out and do it anymore. And the pandemic made it worse. It's like, I don't want to have to do with anybody. I have gotten in the last couple of years, I have gotten so isolationist. The only time I go out really is if I have to work off site, or if I'm going to Home Depot. Occasionally Minnie and I will go to dinner and have a date, but we don't go anywhere. And it's just like, it's just easier to stay home because I can shut the doors and I can lock everybody out and not have to worry about people.
Yep.
I'd say I missed the popcorn, except at 40 something years old, the only time I break out is from freaking movie popcorn.
yeah, probably. But
so you're talking about butts in the seats and stuff. That goes back all the way to the Disney stuff with Captain Marvel. Right. Nobody was going to the theaters. And we mentioned Master of the TDS earlier. I've got a tweet that he found here. He was at the movie theater with his wife, and they overheard a conversation with the employees.
I actually sent him a message because I wanted him to come on if they weren't in there. Go ahead, keep going. I'm sorry, I'm just saying.
Oh no, it's okay. It was because I'm sharing it in the background. If you want to put it up. Oh,
wait, shoot. Let me bring it up. Can I bring it up?
You need a producer.
No, can I bring it up?
Yeah, it's back there in the back. Yeah.
All right.
So they're overhearing a conversation. The employees at the movie theater are talking about how Disney rented out entire theaters to make their movies look profitable. Now, it's something that we had been talking about forever, and something that a lot of people have sat there with anecdotal stuff. Basically, we had all these photographs. Yeah. This is sold out theater and nobody's here. But this is now employees at the theater talking about it and essentially confirming what we all suspected was going on. and nobody's going to the movie theaters anymore. But you're right. It's that whole no, I don't feel like I have to go.
Yeah, it's the who cares.
Yeah.
And it's only partially that we don't care because of what they've done. It's also everybody else. It's just like, there's other things to spend $80 on, especially when the economy is the way it is. Am I going to go spend $80 on a movie for 3 people, or 2 people spending $60, between the movie tickets, getting a drink to share and a large popcorn, you're at $60 half the time. Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. Who wants to do that?
$60, you can get a couple of eggs.
Yeah. Almost 4.
Yeah.
Oh, the price of food.
You could get 3 used ones. 3 used ones. So.
Well, and you talk about earlier, somebody had asked in the chat about Hollywood getting lazy. And it's a couple of things. It's the people making the films, the people telling these stories have mainly as their reference point other TV shows and movies, right? They're not steeped in literature. They're not looking back at classic stories. Heinlein, I mean, in the science fiction realm, Heinlein and Asimov and Ted Sturgeon and that crowd, but also going back to James Fenimore Cooper and T.S. Eliot and that kind of stuff.
You have to be more well-rounded, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're going to write in genre, you have to be more well-rounded. You have to understand the whole idea of storytelling. You have to understand the limited number, the 7 basic stories. You need to understand the hero's journey. There's a lot of things that you should be, as you suggested, steeped in, so that you can.
And the audience doesn't understand that either.
Right. Well, no, the audience hasn't been presented that in quite some time. They would understand it if it was shown to them. But I do want to.
They're not getting in school either. I mean, what are they reading in high school?
My teacher is one of the 7,000 genders. I don't know, but I know this. We've got Sean Cotter out there agreeing with me. Thank you. But that's not why I highlighted this. FOMO is gone. Perfect example is the Charlie Brown Christmas special. Yeah, you only used to get that once a year. Now it streams and you can watch it whenever the F you want to. Mm-hmm. It takes away that magic, right? I mean, do you realize you used to, when the network television premiere of something that was in the theater 3 years ago was an event on television.
Yeah. The world television premiere.
And it's sold. Go ahead. It's easy.
No, I remember I don't know if we had this in the US, but in Canada we had a network called TBS. I'm guessing it was an American network. And they had these big James Bond marathons.
Oh, yeah, TBS.
Yeah.
I would sit down and I would spend the whole weekend. And I would not sleep. I would just watch every James Bond film back to back. It would go on from Friday right till the end of Sunday.
ABC had the extended versions of Star Trek 2 and Superman 2. Yeah. Like, wait, what is this? I haven't seen this. This wasn't in the movie.
And now it is. And Tom will tell you the story about the extended everything that they used to premiere. You used to see stuff that wasn't in the theater. And they made it extra special, which brought in a ton of eyeballs, and it sold a lot of advertising. Remember, advertising is the driver of everything you consume because it leads to the purchase of consumer goods. And linear television forgot that along the way. Now, streaming completely abandons that entire principle and thinks they are going to support themselves on garbage that's only going to be consumed by people for a period of time. And they're going to be like, this has no value for me anymore. And again, they are going to try to create original content that's never been seen before. But if you create stuff like Velma, how do you expect to keep an audience? Yeah. You don't, right? But I got a couple more chats. Hoffcast made a good point here. I don't watch movies anymore. I watch Ryan George's pitch meetings instead. Ryan George is genius. And I want to say thank you to a special person in the chat tonight who I actually sent a message to earlier on, but we're going to wind down here in the near future. And Tim, you're invited on the show, bro. So we'll get you on here next Sunday. How about that? Darcipio is talking about stuff, talking to people in the chat, but that's not the one I wanted to highlight. I don't know why I did that, but hang on. He asked a good question here. Let me find it.
That's called a boomer move, I think, is what.
Dude, when you get to be my age,
I am your age.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Here it is. Okay, here it is. Boom. Here it is. CultureCasino panel. Why are studios releasing so few movies? Look at the early 70s. They had hundreds of movies released. Well, because they shoot all their wad. They shoot all their wad on a limited. No, I know that sounds bad, but it's the truth. They shoot their wad on a limited number of films. You cannot sustain a model where you're spending $200 to $250 million consistently on films. It's unsustainable. In fact, that number is only going to continue to go up because of inflation. The box office receipts may look impressive, but it doesn't reflect the number. Again, I'm going to say this, the butts and seats that are in those. You have a 20% decline in butts and seats right now between 2019 and 2023, let's say. And that's the only reason it's not reflected in the money is because of inflation. That's bad.
I think it's fair to say, though, Culture, the butts themselves have got a lot bigger.
Maybe.
So
true too.
It's not true. Well, it's all that fake popcorn with the fake butter, with the fake soda, with the fake, yeah. But beyond that, like I said, I mean, that's my perspective. Do you know what films make money hand over fist? Horror films. We were just talking about them, not just because of the practical effects and the fun that you have at them, because they're not. I'm sorry, Megan's not a scary film. They toned it down to get the PG-13 rating so they could get everybody in the world in there, right?
Well,
go ahead.
Comedies back in the day, you didn't have to have any special effects. Comedies made money, but there's no such thing as comedy anymore because it gets canceled immediately.
Police dramas in the 70s,
Yeah.
There
are lots of genres that existed that would make money.
Yeah.
And you don't have to spend $250 million to do it. But those genres have been destroyed by the exact things that we have talked about for years now. Woke culture has destroyed most of those genres.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't have them anymore.
Yeah, name the last classic comedy that everybody quotes and everybody loves. For me, I'd have to say probably Tropic Thunder. I can't think of anything after that.
That's probably right around there. Step Brothers, Tropic Thunder, Old School, that kind of stuff.
Can't think of anything beyond that. Yeah.
Who didn't? Well, and it may be a thing of my age. I mean, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, graduated in 2000. Who doesn't have a friend in my age group that everything they said was a quote from a movie? They did not have a personality. They had movie quotes was their personality.
Yep.
They've got nothing to say now because they're still back on the 80s and 90s movies that they quote. They have there's no new material. There's nothing quotable from the last 10, 15 years.
And here's something, and I'm going to cannibalize an idea from a video I'm releasing this week. I always do that, by the way. But there are no personalities. There is no development in films anymore. Not with characters,
right?
Because they confuse that. They conflate it. That's the right word. They conflate it with identitarianism. They fill up the volume of what they think is development with identitarianism, check boxes.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm blah, 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 blah. And that's it. Like somebody brilliant combined the entire amount of insults that were levied in the film Bros at anybody who wasn't, I think, in the film Bros. And it is all heavily weighted in identitarianism. It is wrapped up in identity. That's not a character. It's not a personality. It's not a story. Identity is not a story. I mean, it can be if you can convey somebody's journey from point A to point B of their identity. That could be a story. But identity is not a story. It's an attribute. I mean, you used to fill out character sheets, right? These people can't even do that. We like to joke that the people that are making this stuff, they're NPCs, or the people that are like portraying it on social media or YouTube or whatnot, right? We like to say that they're NPCs. They're not even that. They cannot fill out a character sheet. I mean, and I'm not saying it like they couldn't physically do it. I'm saying what they're giving you on screen isn't fully developed. They don't have a strength attribute. The intelligence is clearly 0. I mean, that's hyperbolic, but you understand what I'm saying. There's none of that.
Well,
right?
We talked about it on comics.
Character. Yeah.
We talked about it on Comic Stream actually before I came here, the member stream. You cannot make. I mean, there are so many people who try to make their politics, their sexuality, and other attributes their whole life. You cannot be a well-rounded person if the only thing that makes you is your politics or your sexuality. You're not a person. You're an NPC. I mean, what you were just saying. I mean, you have to have other facets of a personality to have a personality. It cannot be, this is me the only thing that makes me is I'm a leftist, or I'm, a conservative, or I'm gay, or I'm straight. I mean,
but
there has to be more to a person than one attribute.
So
and you've also got people, with the identitarian stuff, the people that are making it, and that's their selling point. Velma's good because gay icon, right, and all that kind of thing. Where you have, watch this movie because there's a black lead, or watch this movie because there's a lesbian in it, or whatnot. But the people that are making it, they are leaning in so far into the identity stuff that if you criticize, you criticize the product that they make, you're criticizing them, because the identity that they embrace, whatever that is, the identitarian ideology that they embrace, is what they use to present this thing I've made. And if you don't like it, you don't like me, because it's an extension. This is me.
Well,
This is who I am.
They cloak themselves in it.
We talk about it all the time. Built-in character armor, built-in plot armor. But what I guess I'm trying to get at is we are giving them too much credit by calling them NPCs. Because if you go and you play a video game where actually NPCs came from, you play, let's say, Skyrim, right? You actually have more character development in the innkeeper that you're talking to that is with a scripted line.
Yeah, at least he had 2 responses.
Yeah. and so you get there and you're like, that's the problem we're dealing with. And it's funny because, it was said in the chat, and this is the truth. They're catering to the lowest common denominator of what will be acceptable enough to get money out of somebody.
Yeah.
Disney actually is trying to perfect this art right now. And boy, are they failing magnificently. I could not. Lightyear, guaranteed property, right? Toy Story origin, like of one of the characters, one of the most popular Pixar franchises of all time. In fact, it's probably the reason why it became such a coveted studio for Disney to acquire, was this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yet,
it takes a lot of effort to fuck it up that badly, if you think about it.
Oh, yeah, I think you used a better F word than I did, but fumble is the word that I would.
Sorry.
No, I don't care. You can curse here. Sunday night's the only time that you're allowed to use bad words. Yeah, that's right.
Well, and the identitarian stuff goes back. That goes back to the tribalism. It goes back to the because if you don't like it, you're part of the wrong group. You're part of the wrong crowd.
Exactly.
This is like
Tribalism.
It's like Sean saying here, what you got in the chat. If you're not part of the same group I'm part of, then you don't belong, and your thoughts and your beliefs and everything else are not acceptable. You're not in the in crowd.
I believe
there are social laneways, right? Like expectations about how you are to act, how you are to speak, what you're to wear. Like we all like us. This is a bit of an extreme example in a way, but my uncle, he always used to drive a rainbow colored car because he didn't care. He painted it 10 different colors and he started sanding it down and he realized he had 10 layers of paint. So he turned it into a rainbow car. But we don't drive those. We drive single color cars, and usually it's black. And I'm wearing black. I like black. My brother-in-law likes black. But there are social laneways by which you have to act in a certain way to be accepted into that tribal group. And I think a lot of this is predicated on that notion that whatever is going to make us feel like we are a constructive member of society that belongs, that can sit at the table and be invited without being embarrassing, and follow those rules, is what a lot of people are going to follow, because it's a lot less stress. There's a lot less anxiety attached to that.
Yeah.
This is a genius take, and it's something that I actually said to the boss today. So, Mrs. Flew, thank you for throwing this out there in your shouty words, which I'm fine with. But it's we work so very hard to view each other with blind eyes. Why is society trying to move us back decades to a time when we all saw that there were differences? Just let people be people.
Because
we lived in a time, all of us here. I mean, I know for a fact that Snowdub lived in the perfect time to acknowledge that largely all of the problems in society had been solved, and they were so completely solved that they had to figure out a way to divide us. So they reinvented all of these problems. They created us. They created a supply without demand.
Yeah,
people in boxes are easier to control and turn against each other.
But
than people
and that's
who
what it
see
is.
each other
As long as we're fighting each other, we're not fighting the World Economic Forum or whoever is trying to indoctrinate or manipulate or whatever. Government.
The WEF is the front face, like it's the public face of the evil movement, right? They're just they're front line. Those are not the people pulling the strings.
The marketing department.
It is kind of, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's why they get all the they pull all the front men from the countries out there, the supposed leaders, right? Which are all just a bunch of puppets right now. And it's just window dressing for like the people who actually control the money and the power that are behind that. Which, by the way, you're never going to see any of those people in the Forbes 500 richest humans because they don't want to be known. Man, that's as political as I want to be.
Don't be the one who gets stabbed, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
I shared a cartoon that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. The whole difference between right and left and arguments and you're allowed and you're not allowed and that kind of thing. A lot of us being pushed in our you have to take sides thing. This is exactly what a lot of people are dealing with.
But everybody's feeling like this right now, right?
I just want to be left alone. I just want to be left alone until you leave me alone, and I'm gonna do something about it. And that's where we are.
96% of the population in the United States just wants you to leave us alone. Canada's probably the same. I can't speak for you guys, but I'm just saying, leave us alone. We live in even Woody Harrelson recently came out and said, leave us alone.
Oh yeah, Alberta and Saskatchewan are basically Texas, and a lot of British Columbia is living in the woods in the middle of nowhere because they want to be left alone. So I could say that's accurate about Canada.
Yep.
Divide and subjugate. Yes.
The leave me alone thing is
Alberta.
Although we don't want to subjugate Mrs. Fleur.
I get the leave me alone thing. I get the leave me alone thing, but that's also part of the problem. People actually have to know what's going on.
Yeah,
that's why we're here. That's why
I know that's why we're here. That's what I'm saying. I mean, people have to wake up to the fact that you're not being left alone, even if you think you're being left alone. If you're just going on with the narrative, you're not being left alone. You're being pushed a narrative. You have to start digging in and actually figure out what you think, not what you're being told to think.
Yeah, it's really a strange place to be. And again, I mean, a lot of the normal humans that work in the entertainment industry, they get the F away from the core of it. I mean, there's a reason for that. It's why we know who the good guys are at times, because they are largely separated from everything. And they don't engage, and they do what typical movie stars and Hollywood stars used to do, which is give you nothing. They give you nothing. You, as an actor, have to walk into a job. Sorry, my eyes are itchy as heck. But you have to walk into a job as a blank slate, because you have to be able to take on a character and the affectations and the presentation and the mannerisms of whatever it is you're trying to portray on screen. You have to be able to deliver that. And the audience needs to be in a position where they don't imagine you as anything else. Yes, you've played a different character before, but between that point and this point, they know very little about you. They know a very small crafted narrative that has been sort of fleshed out in a somewhat meaningless way on a late night television program with a talk show host who has like the IQ of a thumbtack that is going to ask you about what did you do recently with your dog and can you show up and set up this clip. That's it.
I'll give you a great example. John Voight.
Oh, yeah.
Love his politics.
Yeah.
For the longest time before I knew anything about him, sometimes actors are actually better when they convince you, kind of like wrestling, that they are the heel. John Voight in Varsity Blues, I hated him. John Voight in, what was it, Mission Impossible 1? Hated him. The guy plays such a great villain that I hated him in actual life because it was hard to separate how much of a dick he was in the movies. But I love John Voight now because I know things about him now. But, I mean, the whole thing was it's kind of like a wrestling heel or a wrestling babyface. You know, when they're convincing, when they're doing their job the way they're supposed to, an actor, they make you hate them or they make you love them, one or the other.
Real quick, I want to grab a couple of things, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, Brahma, but
no,
we're getting ready to wind down in the next 10 minutes or so. Your Muslim uncle sent me an amazing super sticker. Thank you, my friend. Assalamu alaikum, my friend. Bryant Barth reminded me that it was Infinity Pool. That was the film that I was trying to remember from Cronenberg's son. It's bonkers, bananas, crazy. So if you want to watch something like that, woo, look out. Larry, I think I already got to this one. Thank you for that. And of course, the most recent one is our friend Hutch the Dirty Roofer for $5 saying, funny note, Fenimore Cooper was a social Darwinist, a wokey of his day. Man's movie is better than the book, hands down. Why are you laughing there?
No, I'm reading ahead to future super chats.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's a newer one than that.
There's a newer one? Oh,
yeah, it just came in from Boy George.
Sorry, ignore me. That's it.
Wow, if this is really Boy George, awesome. Thank you. But I don't think it's
Culture Casino. He comes and goes. He comes and goes.
Yeah, for $20, thank you. That's very generous, and I do appreciate it so very much. And this is very humorous if you intended it this way. You know who my favorite YouTuber is? Culture Casino. Brilliantly done, whoever you are. Well done.
Yeah, you talk about James Fenimore Cooper. I did a paper in high school about the faithful companion, right? The best friend, because it's such an archetype. You know, you have Tonto and you have Robin and you have Spock but you go all the way back to Chingachgook, and I'm like, these are not new things. These are not, and modern audiences have no idea about the roots of all of this storytelling. I mean, yeah, it goes back even further than Cooper, but you know, modern audiences don't have a clue where any of this stuff comes from. It's sad to see.
Okay, so, and this is the other reason why audiences are walking away from a lot of different things. Nothing's relatable to them anymore. Right. Look, absent mind control, gaslighting, inculcation, indoctrination, whatever word you want to throw at it. Right. Absent that, nobody has a frame of reference for this, because in reality, what you observe with your eyes, you experience in your lifetime, doesn't line up with anything that's being presented to you. You no longer are relatable.
Yeah.
And things start to fail. Do you really want to comb me? It should be
your 6-minute outro. We're at the 3 hours. You know that, right?
Oh, you're right. We gotta go, folks. I want to say this. I had an incredible time in this. We had a wandering panel. People came, they went, they came back.
They came and went. They came and went.
I don't know. Does anybody want to promote anything at all? Because I will indulge you at this moment in time.
I'll go first.
Okay, go ahead.
So I get It's Only Talk and Roll tomorrow, 3 p.m. Mountain Time. No. Cheap Trick special, because it's Robin Zander's 70th birthday. So it's all Cheap Trick on the show tomorrow.
Up your skirt, you hoser.
Up your skirt, you hoser.
Nice.
Let's see. Take a look at my girlfriend. She's the only one I got.
Not much of a girlfriend.
Not much of a girlfriend.
That's Supertramp.
I know, but I like them better than Cheap Trick.
Well, you know, it's like choosing between your children, quite frankly. I mean, although some people find that easy, but you know, I love Supertramp too, but Cheap Trick just a little fonder.
And you know what I like better than Supertramp? Super Chats. So yeah, anyway. was fun. All right, I want to say thank you to Jason, who's here. He promotes that. He does stuff and lots of it.
I do stuff. Yes, we've got stuff tomorrow. We've got Live from the Bunker at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 Central. I think tomorrow we're going to touch on the Wizards of the Coast D&D thing, I think. And then on Tuesday, we got our money edition. And then Tuesday night, the H2O podcast, 8 p.m. Eastern. So all of that going on. We've got quite a few shows throughout the week, but people need to subscribe so they know when they go, because we do appointment television. We stay on a schedule. Our shows start on a particular time. So, and we've got a Discord now too. So,
do you now?
We do now. Yes.
And what do you do on your Discord?
Well, there's been quite a bit of discussion about the WotC stuff. There's some discussion about Foundation, the TV series. We got some comic book conversations going on. So it's just getting started. So it's in its infancy. We're getting there. I've got a guy finally set it up for me and is managing some stuff. I'm like, because I don't know anything about this stuff.
Okay. Well, I just want to say I appreciate you allowing me to come on occasionally, and you guys can always find Jason doing amazing things on a regular schedule, which, unlike many YouTubers, he keeps and he stays on time and does good stuff.
And I'm putting together a spreadsheet so I can keep track of where all of you guys are, so I don't come up against everybody streaming it all at once.
No, I know you're like me. You like try to pay attention to what others are doing and try to like find a spot in between. Speaking of in between, one of my favorite puppets on the planet, the guy that if I could be him, I would be. It's this fella right here, Snowdub.
I'm sorry, I got a mouthful of pizza.
Oh, wow! That almost.
I didn't know. I didn't know Culture was going to do the equivalent of Avatar 2 as far as a full-length stream tonight.
Oh, I apologize.
But had a great time. I got hungry. I ordered a pizza and I ate it and listened to you guys about the last half hour. So thank you. And subscribe to Dub. Don't be
I'm glad we could entertain you while you were on the stream.
You know, you were allowed to speak, Snowdub.
Yeah, I know. I was like,
I
haven't heard from Snowdub in a bit. Anyway, hey, brother, yeah. Tell everybody about you got a puppety thing happening. Puppety.
Yeah, no, there's a Tucker Roll show every Saturday night, but we got the Cotton Council season 3 coming up soon, and
that's a party.
That show's pretty hot. I think a lot of people are really enjoying that, so can't wait to get the puppets back together and bring the chaos. 70s rock fan might know a little something about that.
Yeah. Well, I want to say thank you to Darius for the super sticker. I really do appreciate it, and I want to say thank you to you, Snowdub, for being here, brother. We have two talented musicians on this stream. Can't believe it. Between Snowdub and CC Karaoke, I'm blessed. I'm surrounded by talent. And then there's 70s rock fan. Speaking of talent, the man who's
surrounding you, I'm underneath you.
You are. Well, yeah. I'm not wearing a kilt, brother. Don't get excited. But we've got a man of elegant smokingness or smoking. Promote something, Brahma. You do things.
Tomorrow, yelling at parked cars on Comics Division's channel. We always have fun. It'll be a little political. I think the poll said we are not talking about the Crowder versus Daily Wire, so I'm glad about that because I think that whole thing is a mess. You can also catch me on Thursday Night Throwdown. You can catch me on Me and That 70s Rock Fans show on Saturday nights, Bourbon and Boarding, my Rumble channel.
Crazy fun.
His YouTube channel. We co-host that and have a lot of fun talking about things we like, which if you are looking for something that is not negative, that is the show to come and see. So thank you for having me on, Culture, and thank you to the chat for participating so much tonight, because we literally came in with one topic and we managed to stretch it out into 3 hours, and I'm not sure how that happened, but good, generic, organic conversation, gentlemen. CC, nice to meet you. Hope everybody has a great night. Cheers, everybody.
All right, Brahma, thank you. And of course, the guest of honor this evening was, the inaugural appearance of our friend CC Karaoke on this show. And I'm so grateful he reached out to me to indicate he had availability, because this is a pleasure and I appreciate you being here. You have just a very cool, calm demeanor about you, brother, and I appreciate you so much. What do you got going on?
I appreciate the invitation to be here.
Oh, you bet.
It's been great, actually. It's a very, very chill show. On the landing page of my channel, I've got a playlist that is CC Live. That's basically it. When you go to the CC Karaoke YouTube channel, right at the top there, you want to know where I'm live, where I'm streaming, that's it. You can find that there, and a lot of the time that's going to include Loki's late night on Fridays, which I totally recommend. Similar vibe to this show.
I really appreciate you being here. You have no idea. I am greatly honored, and I love hanging out with you everywhere I've been able to. So thank you. And it was a great privilege to have you join us. And again, I hope the opportunity presents itself. So I loved it, and I appreciate you saying this is a chill stream, because I really like that. I don't want to be that yell at everybody thing. You know, I'm going to yell at parked cars on Monday, and I'll have a throwdown on Thursday. But here, just a little more mellow. If you do want to check out an incredibly talented person, this is your guy. And with that, wow, I guess we're done. I had such a great time tonight. We had so many wonderful people in the chat. I like the idea that we have a lot of different viewpoints, and I really want everybody to have those in the most civil manner possible. So please, for those of you who do communicate here, I do appreciate you acting like adults. It's very important. And with that, I think we have to end. Bad Bunny, I like you. Dial it back. Come on. All right, here we go. I have an outro and usually unique other things that happen here. So you guys ready?
It's time for some
My body is ready.
In it.
All right, here we go. Okay, I don't care.
Yeah. Sometimes I get so mad, there's no controlling me. My thoughts get so bad, I'm like, I might grab a bat, I don't know. My wrath, my blood boils over like, oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed? Switches how you see things, realize something needs change. Cause I know you got me fucked up, let me show you what's up. Cause enough is enough. I'll take a face full of pavement just to make a statement. I know there's no turning back. Oh God, adrenaline wasted, so mad I can taste it. I know there's no turning back. I'll do what it takes, I ain't making mistakes like that. I'll bleed on your face to make you go take it back. I'll lose my shit, I go crazy when I'm mad. And now you gon' wish you would shut the fuck up real bad. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back. I don't fucking take smoke, I'ma poke a hole through you. Choking's overdue. Come at me and you won't get any older, dude. Crack your holder too. Heating up inside of me, blood so violently. Thanks for trying me. Now it's finally time to see how this rivalry becomes my dynasty. I know there's no turning back. Oh God, adrenaline wasted, so mad I can taste it. I know there's no turning back. I'll do what it takes, I ain't making mistakes like that. I'll bleed on your face to make you go take it back.
It sure was a great show tonight, CC. My favorite part was when you guys talked about nipples.
Well, I do like sucking the teat.
Don't we all? Call me.
Are you sure you're...
give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around. And first, you never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye, never gonna tell a lie.
Well, Jason, I don't know what you feel about the role of the nipple in science fiction, classic science fiction.
It varies because, sometimes you get 3.
And well, exactly, and also in fantasy, of course, Conan and others had very prominent nipple effects going on. I would say, but
yeah,
I think you're right. The triple Total Recall was obviously the peak of civilization. There's also the triple-breasted whore of Eroticon 6, of course. We mustn't forget her.
And then, of course, you have the Terminator models that can adjust them just manually, right?
That's right. And the fembots, of course, and Austin Powers.
Yeah.
So I think the nipple plays an important role in science fiction.
They do.
Why, hello there, random citizen.
Oh, hey there, little buddy. How's it going?
Have you subscribed to CultureCasino yet?
Well, no.
Friggin' A. These guys, I tell ya.
Oh!
Dang it, I missed. Why won't these guys just subscribe already?
That hurt.
How did you think the show went tonight?
I thought it went good. It was nice to see CC Karaoke here. How often do you think he gets a request for Ever Gently by Tenacious D?
Oh, I think that's a regular thing, right?
Yeah. I think next time I see him on, I'll have to go on and do that one. I mean, the PG rated version, but I can't sing, so I'll probably do it as walking.
Oh, dude, I would love that as walking. That'd be genius.
Yeah. You don't always have to ever hard. Sometimes that's not right to do. Sometimes you got to make some love and effing give her some smoochies too. I think we can do it.
I think you can. Yeah, let's see what Rhino thinks.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Fucking stupid!
You're still here. There's like 100 of you still in the chat. Go home. Get some sleep. Gotta work tomorrow. And don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. And subscribe to all these great channels. Except for maybe 70s Rock Fan. He's a little weird. I think he likes sheep.
Neighbors bothering you with their loud music?
You know who else in there?
Your boss or coworker harassing you?
Wait, what? Who said that?
Maybe you have a roommate who cries in their sleep. Bully Mays here with a solution that proves every problem has a mortality rate. Introducing Shank Crate, your all-in-one monthly subscription box that can take care of those in-your-face issues. Each box contains new and unique materials for you to build your very own custom shank.
Oh my gosh.
And for your protection, the contents of each box are totally secret until you receive it. And not only does it create solutions, it also serves as a creative outlet, like an adult form of Lego.
Oh yeah. Right? That is a literal knife's edge.
Maybe you, like some of our other customers, have questions.
Can I bring it to school?
Who's ever heard of a pencil not being allowed at school?
Can you store it in a pocket?
Absolutely.
What if you don't, have any pockets?
Your discretion. Whether you're conscientious about the Earth or just not opposed to being a good steward of the environment, each Shank Crate and its contents are made of 100% recycled materials to make sure we're environmentally friendly. And if you order now, we'll be extra sensitive to the environment and keep all the original fingerprints on the items for your convenience. All for the low cost of $19.99 a month. Call 626-831-9333 to get your Shank Crates today. If you call now and secure your monthly subscription for only $19.99, you'll get your very own alibi insurance for those slightly stickier situations. But wait again, there's even more. To be inclusive, culturally respectful, and as patriotic as possible, each monthly box is themed after a unique prison in the US of A. So call 626-831-9333 now to get your very own unique, patriotic, and environmentally friendly Shank Crate with your own personal alibi insurance.